This video continues with Chapter 41 Communication with God. Dragon Ball, Reforming the Future. Chapter 41 Communication with God. Chapter 41 Communication with God. The Worlds Know. Budokai Venue Contestant Down N. Is Contestant Down N here? The brown-haired referee picked up the microphone and shouted, looking around for Tang En. Like the original work, Klin finally used his wisdom to defeat Dumpling and qualified for promotion. Now it was Tang En's turn to fight with Tianjin Fan. Isn't Mr. Tang En here? Tong Lia had doubts in her heart. According to Tang En's strength, there was no need to be afraid of anyone, even if the Tianjin Fan in front of her was ridiculously strong. Something happened to Tang En, right? Bulma grabbed Oolong's ears and said wordly, "Haha, he is quite smart." He knew that he was no match for Tianjin Fan, so he ran away early. Old pervert, this boy is much wiser than your apprentice. Crane Immortal couldn't help but mocked that the failure of Dumpling made him lose face, and now Crane Immortal didn't hesitate to move back. Turtle Immortal didn't pay attention. He didn't believe Tang En would run away. Old day, just watch carefully. Oolong felt very uncomfortable when Bulma grabbed his ears. "Hey, you woman, let me go." At this moment, there was a discussion on the field. After all, one contestant had already been eliminated due to being late. Unexpectedly, there was another one this time. And he was the last martial arts tournament champion. "I saw senior brother Tang En just now. Why did he suddenly disappear?" Maslow said anxiously. Rem also turned around and searched around, but did not find Tang En. "Not at all," Sun Wukong suddenly shouted. Everyone turned their attention to Sun Wukong. "No, Tang En just left because of something. That Tianjin rice guy can't scare Tang En at all." Only Wukong and Tang En are the closest here, so they noticed Tang En's departure. After hearing this, Tianjin Fan said, "HMPH, no matter how far he escapes, I will never let him go." Seeing this, the referee had no choice but to say, "I didn't expect such a thing to happen, but according to the regulations, as long as a Twain player has not arrived at the venue for more than 10 minutes, I can only disqualify him from the competition." Sun Wukong was a little depressed. At this time, Maslow and Klin next to him also began to learn about Tang En from Sun Wukong. The temple on the other side, Tang En and Tianjin sat face to face, with Bobo standing behind them. "I see. Did God say that the evil you has been released from the seal?" Tang En asked knowingly. "Yes, he is in the south of the earth now. If you sense carefully, it is not difficult to detect his evil aura." The god continued, "He and I are one and the same, but because of my own selfishness, I released him and caused so much harm to the lower world. It is really a sin. I have lost the qualification to become a god." God Bobo was puzzled. "Kid, I see what you do. Piccolo will never be your opponent. After I hand over the gods to you, please get rid of him for the earth." The old face of the god was particularly serious as he said to Tang En. Tang En stared at the god's face carefully, feeling a little embarrassed. "But if Demon King Piccolo dies, the gods will also die, right?" Tang En said, "After all, the strength of the gods should be more powerful than the aging big devil in front of him. The reason why I couldn't take action in person must be related to this." Well, the god was also a little surprised. After all, he did not say that the two people's lives were connected. "That's something that can't be helped." The god continued. "For Tang En now, it is really not difficult to deal with the big devil Piccolo. What Tang En was worried about was whether the new Piccolo would have a chance to appear if he took action himself. If it can't appear, the earth will not only lose a warrior and a god, but also lose the big killer of Dragon Ball. This is too much of a loss. My lord, you are too harsh on yourself." Tang En paused for a moment, then continued, "Although God released the demon and caused some harm to the lower world, you also created the Dragon Ball. After all, if it weren't for the Dragon Balls, I wouldn't have the strength to protect the earth today." Tang En added in his heart, Without the Dragon Ball created by you, God, I would not have met Bulma, let alone everything in the future. When the god heard what Tang En said, he fell into silence for a moment. Who tilde? Tang En wanted to get rid of this boring topic, so he simply said in a relaxed tone, forget it. It doesn't matter what the devil is. This guy must be dealt with, so leave it to me. However, as for the gods, it's up to you first. When the god saw Tang En rejecting his request, he was a little surprised, and his tone became a little more urgent. So, don't you want to be a god? Tang En said frankly, this kind of thing, if I feel like I can't get in one day, I will still consider it. God. For a moment, the god of heaven was really ashamed by Tang En, and he was a little speechless. Okay. Suddenly, Tang En felt another breath right next to the big devil Piccolo. This breath suddenly appeared, and it was also accompanied by Piccolo's weakness. This is Dambalin? After Tang En thought for a while, he came up with the answer. At this moment, Tang En did not dare to neglect. After all, he has been in the temple for a long time. If he had been a little later, Klin would probably die like in the original work. As a friend, you still have to be careful about this kind of thing, otherwise it will be too unloyal. What's wrong? God saw Tang En's strange behavior and asked. The gods may not have considered Piccolo's method as a serious problem. After all, this trick is indeed not clever. Tang En could only say, it's okay, I just thought that the martial arts competition hasn't finished yet, so I guess I have to leave first. The god was ashamed and said a little apologetically, I haven't had time to apologize to you yet. After all, I delayed such an important game for you. Of course Tang En wouldn't care about this and quickly expressed that it didn't matter. Then, the god seemed to have thought of something. So, the god told Tang En, by the way, if possible, you should remember to bring that Monkey King to the temple. Tang En was stunned for a moment, and then he stopped moving forward. Oh? God doesn't have to let him come up by himself? Since I can be praised like this by you, there must be something extraordinary about me. I am willing to believe you too. And the god thought of the scene when he saw Sun Wukong. He was indeed a very charming child, and could even have a somersault cloud. And he has a simple nature and is indeed worth cultivating. The god completed the words. Dun smiled laugh. Tang En gave a thumbs up to the god. Okay. Lord God. Tang En jumped out of the temple and flew towards the martial arts venue. Thanks to Xiaoyao Shenzhen for the 500-point reward. End of this chapter. Chapter 42 The Belated King. Chapter 42 The Belated King. Tang En hurriedly rushed from the temple to the martial arts gym. However, at the World No. Martial Arts Tournament, Tang En was eventually eliminated due to timeout. Moreover, we have now reached the finals. Sun Wukong vs. Tianjin Fan. Tianjin Fan, I order you to kill him quickly. Zhou was so anxious that he was very frightened and angry at his disciples' disobedience. Tianjin Fan had already used the 4 demon fists at this time, and had almost exerted his full strength. Sun Wukong gritted his teeth and shouted angrily. It's despicable. Tianjin Fan's face was a little complicated. He had actually realized something a long time ago. Dumpling is using superpowers to affect his battle. His pride and his master's orders kept making him make choices. Tianjin Fan was taken in by Hexian since he was a child and received strict training from Hexian and Tao Beibai. Under the influence of Tao Beibai and Zhou characters who regard human life as nothing, they often have a dark side in their hearts. After Tianjin Fan was declared victorious in the match against Twain, he then fought against Klin and finally won, and now it was finally the finals. He met this unexpected boy. Evenly matched strength, fist to flesh blow. The two of them hit each other's body countless times, but neither of them wanted to give up. Tianjin Fan was very entangled. Sun Wukong was having difficulty moving now. As long as he attacked again, he could easily defeat or even kill this kid. However, Tianjin Fan had a vague feeling that he shouldn't do this. Perhaps this is where Sun Wukong's personality charm lies. Tianjin Fan's inner self-esteem was constantly awakened during the battle with him, and he slowly longed for a real battle. It was only at this moment that Tianjin Fan realized that this might be what he liked. He wanted to win this evenly matched opponent in an upright manner. Feeling the vigorous vitality and unyielding belief of Sun Wukong in front of him, Tianjin Fan felt respect for his opponent for the first time in his life. Tianjin Fan closed his eyes and struggled to shout, Stop it. Everyone was stunned, not knowing what Tianjin Fan was talking about or who he was asking to stop. Except for Dumplings and Crane Sage, of course. He-Zionren was immediately furious, and a feeling of betrayal rushed straight into He-Zionren's brain. What? You traitor! Have you forgotten who taught you your skills? You ungrateful thing! Dumpling was also trembling with fear at this moment, and he was even more afraid of He-Zionren. Tianjin Fan closed his eyes tightly, made a decision in his heart, and suddenly shouted, Stop it, Dumpling. What? Dumpling was startled and hurriedly stopped his superpower. Okay, Tianjin He-Zionren's face was gloomy and he stared at Tianjin Fan. Tianjin Fan said slowly, Master, I want to have a serious fight with him. Just allow me to be self-willed once. It's okay. Gui Zionren observed the situation silently and couldn't help but secretly sighed. It's a good seedling. There is still time to find your way back. Everyone was at a loss. Even the referee didn't understand what was going on. However, because I kept hearing the old man below yelling to kill the other party, I couldn't help feeling a little conflicted in my heart, and reminded me, I don't know what happened, but if a Tianjin Fan kills his opponent, he will be disqualified from the competition. I understand. Tianjin Fan said calmly. Hey, I'm back to normal. Sun Wukong must have understood these situations, and he moved his hands and feet. After feeling that his body could indeed move freely, Sun Wukong smiled innocently and began to say to Tianjin Fan, Okay. Then I will fight you seriously. Bring it on. Crackle. The two soon started fighting again, but since they were evenly matched, there was no way to tell the winner in a short period of time. Wukong, come on. Oolong shouted loudly. Bulma was also cheering for Goku in her heart, but she still seemed a little uninterested on the outside. Brush, 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 brush. Boom! On the field, Monkey King and Tianjin Fan were intertwined fiercely, and there would be fierce collisions from time to time. The tortoise and Gixian Wu lay beside Kepki, feeling a little drowsy watching the battle in front of him. After all, he couldn't see anything. Aha! Caught you! Tianjin Fan grabbed Sun Wukong's limbs with 4 arms, raised them above his head, and then hit Sun Wukong's stomach with his head crazily. Boom! Boom! There was a strong collision sound, and Monkey King vomited bitterness. After a few rounds, Sun Wukong finally came to his senses and quickly used his tail to fight back, hitting the opponent on the head and hurting each other together. Snapped! Tianjin Fan was staggered by the whipping, and then the 2 arms behind him released their grip on Sun Wukong's arms. Sun Wukong seized the opportunity, grabbed Tianjin Fan's arm in an instant, and twisted it hard! Click. The sound of broken bones! What? Tianjin Fan roared, and big beads of sweat flowed from his head. Tianjin Fan threw Sun Wukong to the ground, and the 2 of them struggled wildly with their limbs, making crackling sounds all over their bodies. This scene was amazing. It's so intense. Telin opened his mouth wide and said, Don't these 2 people know about pain? What a monster! He trembled when he heard the sound of dislocation of bones. Wow! Suddenly, Tianjin Fan shouted loudly, shocking Sun Wukong away. Who? The 2 arms behind Tianjin Fan began to dissipate. Hey! Sun Wukong wiped the blood from his mouth. Although he was very tired, he still had the energy to refuse to admit defeat. There are dozens of rounds of crackling, almost endless. Is this a physical exertion? After 10 minutes, the 2 finally separated, and Tianjin Fan adjusted his condition slightly and floated into the sky. Sun Wukong, I'm sorry, I have to win this time. Tianjin Fan said silently to himself. This is when you are ready to use your own unique skills. Qigong Cannon. Crane Immortal, Dumpling, and Gui Immortal recognized this move immediately! The Master Hexian in the audience had a sneer on his face and said in his heart, "Great. It would be best if you and that brat die together." Jiaozi was very worried, although in his eyes no human being could withstand that move. What? Immortal Gui scolded Immortal Crane inwardly for passing such a trick to his disciples. Powerful moves like Qigong Cannon can kill people! And not just opponents. Turtle Senin stood up suddenly and shouted to Wukong, "Wukong, get out of the way. You can't withstand this blow." Sun Wukong said nothing, looking at Tianjin Fan's hands slowly closing in the sky. The Scion's pride also began to attack, and he turned a deaf ear to Kame Senin's words. "Wukong, you don't understand. Qigong cannons are activated using life. You can't stop it." Gixianren tried his best to make Sun Wukong believe his words. After all, Sun Wukong was nearly exhausted at this time, and there was no chance of survival if he resisted. Tianjin Fan's eyes were sharp. He gathered all his strength into his palms and stared at the ring attentively. So this scene happened again, really familiar. Sun Wukong, Tianjin Fan shouted. "This blow may even kill me. Although I really want to beat you, I still hope you can dodge." After hearing what Tianjin Fan said, Sun Wukong smiled and responded, "Hey, I won't die so easily. Let the horses come." Gradually the atmosphere began to become heavy, and Bulma and others began to become nervous. After all, Sun Wukong doesn't know how to dance in the sky at this moment, so he can only watch Tianjin Fan use his special moves. Plin, Rem, and Maslow stared at the ring intently, feeling very nervous. Is it really as exaggerated as Teacher Wu Qian said? Several people clenched their fists. But then, a voice still attracted their attention. "Oh, I came at the right time." End of this chapter. Chapter 43, The Belated King. Chapter 43, The Belated King. Klin, Rem, and Maslow were all very worried. Is it really as scary as Teacher Wu Qian said? Suddenly, a voice came, which immediately attracted the attention of Kellen and others. "I came at the right time." Tang En fell straight down and arrived right in front of the three of them. The three Maslows were surprised and delighted. "Senior brother Tang En. Tang En." At this moment, the three people were worried about Wukong's safety in the ring, and they also wanted to know where Tang En had gone. "Sure enough, I missed it. After all, it has been so long," Tang En thought. Tang En shook his head and walked up to the three of them. "Don't worry, the matter has almost been resolved." Sure enough, I was still eliminated. It's really nerve-wracking. Even so, Tang En's words were very relieved. Klin did think so, even more regretful than Tang En. After all, in his opinion, Tang En must have the strength to challenge Sun Wukong, the Tianjin Fan above. After a while, everyone's energy was still focused on the game on the court. "Brother Tang En, will Wukong win?" Maslow asked curiously. Rem and Klin were also waiting for Tang En's response. Tang En looked at it. At this time, Tianjin Fan's aura was extremely swollen, and his own energy was condensed into the palms of his hands. Qigong Cannon is really an extremely powerful move, and Tang En is very familiar with it. If it were Tang En, he would never dare to use this move just when Tianjin Fan was as powerful as him. Qigong Cannon is like the magic sealing wave. If you don't have strong enough physical strength to support it, it will overdraw your life until all your energy is drained away. That is to say, Tianjin Rice has a special physique and extremely strong vitality, so he dares to do this. In the original work, this guy not only used the Qigong Cannon to survive, but later even used the demon sealing wave to seal away the rejuvenated Piccolo. It turns out he's not dead yet. Who are you going to talk to for explanation if Wukong really takes this blow? The three of them pricked up their ears. Life and death are unpredictable. Tang En told the truth that worried the three of them. Is that really going to be the case? Colin was very worried about his gay friend. Tang En continued to mention Colin, but don't worry, Wukong will definitely dodge. It's not smart to resist an attack of this level. I hope so. Finally, Tianjin Fan in the sky launched his own attack. Survive! Tianjin Fan shouted. Kigum cannon buzz buzz, huge energy falls from the sky, penetrating between heaven and earth exclamation puff exclamation in an instant. The attack from the sky will reach Sun Wukong's eyes. Ah! I won't hide away. Wukong shouted stubbornly exclamation boom exclamation snapped exclamation. The huge impact eroded the earth. On the ring, the attacked part sank in like tofu, and smoke spread all around. Ah! Everyone outside the venue fell to the ground one after another to weaken the huge impact. And above the sky, the huge consumption almost sucked Tianjin Fan's body dry. He had spared this blow, and at this time Tianjin Fan's strength had surpassed that of Zhou, so he survived in the end and could barely perform Wukong technique. But this is really very reluctant. The pit, which is nearly meters deep, gives ordinary people the feeling that they cannot see the bottom at a glance, and the extent in front of them has long made their nerves numb. Amazing! Tang En sincerely praised. Even he didn't want to suffer this blow in vain. Tong Lia on the side also stared blankly. After all, this was the first time he had seen such an attack with his own eyes. Is this really what humans can do? Tong Lianan asked. Wukong. Krillin shouted into the pit. There was even a cry in Klin's voice. After all, if he got hit, he would have to die immediately. Rem also looked worried, while Maslow clenched his fists and had mixed emotions. Ha ha ha! Tianjin Rice, well done. Zhou shouted wildly, but no one responded to him. Wukong Klin tried to look down. After all, the entire arena was destroyed and there was no place to hide. Hu tilde Tianjin Fan was also panting at this moment, searching for Sun Wukong's location. There, Tang En said, pointing to the sky. After all, there is still a lot of Sun Wukong's aura remaining, and it is easy to distinguish at close range. Everyone looked up. Hey, that move is really powerful. Wukong was almost exhausted. The extremely fast escape just now had already weakened his already limited physical strength. At this moment, Sun Wukong was trembling all over, and his eyes were half opened and half closed. It seemed that he had reached his limit. Tianjin Fan looked at his opponent who was falling rapidly in front of him. He also followed the fall with Wukong technique. He braced himself and said, "You were actually able to dodge. It's a pity that I don't have the strength now, but I will be the winner in the end." Sun Wukong cracked his mouth and smiled. "I won't admit defeat." Turtle pie what? Tianjin Fan said in shock. Does he still have the strength? Wukong. He is in the sky. Plin saw Sun Wukong falling rapidly. Tang En has been paying attention to the situation and thinking from his perspective. If he encountered the situation just now, with the same strength, could he avoid it? Tang En could even feel that the cells in Sun Wukong's body, which was squeezing his potential at this moment, were shouting with excitement. This reaction allows Son Goku, a young Saiyan body, to burst out with almost never-ending vitality and excitement. At this time, everyone was inevitably worried about Sun Wukong. Although they knew that he survived, Tianjin Fan's ability to fly was really a headache. A winged human-like creature flew out of a huge aircraft. Inside the aircraft, a dark green monster embroidered with magic words sat on a chair. Is the human world already so weak now? The big devil stared at the rice cooker in front of him and said with both anger and joy in his words, "Lord Demon King, the time for you to rule the world has finally arrived. The era of the demons is finally coming," a sharp-mouthed monster said. The Pilaf trio shivered in the corner. Big Demon King, as we said before, when you rule the world you must give me half of it. Piccolo's old eyes looked at Pilaf with cold eyes, which immediately made the latter feel extremely frightened. What? The three of them immediately started to tremble. Maybe we shouldn't let this guy out. Pilaf turned his head and whispered to his two companions. "Ha, I heard it," Big Devil Piccolo joked. "Nankians do have good hearing." "Ah." Lord Demon King, I only need 1/10. The three of them were frightened and listened carefully to the big devil's instructions. Take me to the center of the world. I want the whole world to know my arrival! Afterwards, let my child collect 7 Dragon Balls and restore my youth! Ha 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 ha. The old Bick became more and more excited as he talked. He had already released 2 children. One of the 2 people is responsible for killing all the martial arts masters on the earth, and the other is responsible for collecting the Dragon Balls. At this moment, both of them have already started to act, and he can't wait to conquer the world. End of this chapter. Chapter 44 Confession. Chapter 44 Confession. The world's no martial arts venue. Sun Wukong still gave everyone a surprise. He used the reverse turtle Qigong to knock Tianjin Fan unconscious. But not everything is the same as the original. For example, the car that hit Goku didn't come. So the two landed at the same time and won the championship together. Tang En reached Sun Wukong's head. The fallen Sun Wukong could only see Tang En standing upside down. Hey, Sun Wukong barely opened one eye and kept smirking at Tang En. Ha ha. Tang En also started laughing, feeling as if everything was kept silent. Tang En took out a fairy bean and gave it to Sun Wukong. Hey, Wukong, this is a fairy bean. It can not only fill your stomach, but also cure all injuries. The location where Sun Wukong and Tianjin Fan landed was not far from the venue. At this time, their friends were all here. However, most of the other passers-by left after learning who the champion was. Wukong, you really surprised me. It seems you have your own path. Gyudong, Turtle Immortal said to Sun Wukong. Sun Wukong grinned and swallowed Tang En's fairy beans. Tell His Majesty the King everything about the situation here, and go ahead. Tong Lia whispered to Bloom in the crowd. Yes. Bloom responded. Bulma, who was among the crowd, arrived at Tang En. Where have you been? You even missed the game. It's really a headache. Bulma approached and turned her back to Tang En, humming. After all, the matter was a bit complicated. Tang En was ready to confess to everyone together, but now he had no choice but to change the subject to comfort Bulma. Tianjin Rice, come here quickly. You trash, can't you even deal with a guy of this level? Hexionern stood not far away, and beside him stood Dumpling with a worried look on his face. Tianjin Fan staggered and finally stood up. Yes, master. Wait a moment, Tang En said. Tang En felt a little uncomfortable in his heart. Why hasn't this Tianjin Fan broken up with this old man? Is it because of his own reasons that Turtle Immortal didn't play? Tianjin Fan looked at Tang En warily. Was he trying to settle a score with himself? My current situation is extremely bad. These are fairy beans. They can heal wounds. You should eat them too. Tang En still wanted Tianjin Fan to leave Hezionran, so he didn't mind trying to distance himself. Sure enough, Hezionran immediately began to sing the opposite tune. Shut up. Do you want to accept charity from your enemies? Come here. Tianjin Fan looked at the fairy beans in his hand and was very moved, but after thinking for a moment, he still took a deep breath. Thank you for your kindness. I feel much better now. I'm really happy to meet you. But Tianjin Fan returned the fairy beans to Tang En and said with shame. Tang En imitated a certain bald-caped man and scratched his face with his fingers, thinking in his mind, it seems that till now, Tianjin Fan still has no ideological conflict with Hezionran. Tang En did not pick up the fairy bean. He turned around and walked to his partner, standing with Bulma and Kagi. There is no need for him to deliberately try to win over Tianjin Fans. Tang En will always feel weird about this, so just let it go. Tianjin Fan had no choice but to put away the fairy beans and walked towards Hexionran. It was getting late, and Gixian Liu held a victory party as usual. Tang En and the others, as good friends, also participated in the party. In this way, Turtle Immortal, Sun Wukong, Klin, Lan Kai, Bulma, Tang En, Rem, Maslow, plus a pig, a turtle and a robot. The partner group is unprecedentedly powerful. "Excuse me, can you let me join?" Tong Lia said. Just like that, there is one more person here. Everyone was eating and drinking, chatting about their own practice. Even Rem, who usually didn't talk much, was a little drunk, let alone the others. This made Tang En a little embarrassed. He originally wanted to take this opportunity to talk to everyone about serious matters, but the atmosphere was so pleasant that it was difficult for Tang En to speak. He could only silently check Dan Bolin's breath to see where the unlucky boy was. On more than one occasion, Tang En decided to simply kill Dan Bolin and Piccolo directly to protect everyone's happy time. But reason told him that this wouldn't work. He couldn't guarantee that he would be able to take the lead in martial arts in the future, so he had to use his own way to help Wukong grow better. In this case, he has to be given a chance to grow. People who know more will inevitably be troubled. Tang En didn't seem to be particularly interested, which was easily noticed by Turtle Immortal. "Twain, where have you been today? You even missed the game." Everyone looked at Tang En biting his spoon, and everyone wanted to know about this. Tang En put down his spoon, drank up the juice in front of him in one gulp, and then said to everyone, "Let me tell you something first." The crowd nodded. Tang En said directly, "It's a long story, but let me start from the beginning. 3 years ago, I used Wukong to fly from the top of Kylin Tower Temple. God breathed demon ceiling wave." Everyone stopped eating as they listened. Even Sun Wukong was surprised by Tang En's experience and that he actually met such an amazing person. "That's it. God asked me to deal with that big demon King Piccolo." Click. Demon King Piccolo. What a long memory. One corner of Kamesunren's cup was broken, but Kamesunren didn't appear too panicked and just said quietly, "So, you met the maker of the Dragon Balls and practiced with him, and has the Demon King Piccolo reborn 300 years ago?" No one quite understood the meaning of these words, but they only felt that they were serious when they looked at Turtle Immortal's appearance. "That's right," Tang En said. "What, Big Devil Piccolo, isn't that a legendary story?" "Tang En, you must be joking to make everyone happy, right?" Bulma said tentatively. "Hey." Tang En turned his head and smiled at Bulma. "Ha, ha, ha, it's true." "Tang En, you really are like joking." Ha ha. Klin laughed twice, but when no one responded, he had no choice but to remain silent. Tong Lia suddenly stood up and put her hands on the table. "Mr. Tang En, I must tell the king about this soon." Oolong was already scared and leaned tightly against Wukong. "Who is Big Devil Piccolo? Is he very powerful?" This is what Wukong said. "It's said to be the great demon king hundreds of years ago. When I was a child, I heard it from an adult, and I thought it was just a fairy tale." Lan Kai added. Turtle Immortal looked at Tang En and placed his hope on this young man who was the only one he could not see through. After all, even he was not sure of winning with the demonic ceiling wave. "Tang En, God must have a solution, right?" Tang En saw that the atmosphere was a little dull, so his tone became slightly more relaxed. "Actually, there is no need for everyone to panic too much. If it is only the great demon King Piccolo, the gods will definitely have a solution. I'm actually not worried about this. What I want to talk about is another issue. As early as a year ago, I told the king about the development of martial arts on Earth. And the reason why I have this idea is entirely because God told me about things outside the universe. Tang En decisively threw away the tool man of God. After all, this would definitely be more convincing to them. There is not only life on the Earth in the universe, there are many powerful alien life in the vast world. If we want the Earth to survive the invasion of alien life, we can only rely on the strength of the Earth's own people. So, the gods intend to promote the martial arts of the Earth? Turtle Immortal asked in surprise. Tang En couldn't help but think of what the gods said at that time: "Every life has its own path. I have no way to make them give up their lives and force them to enter the gate of martial arts. Whether these are good or bad cannot be predicted." "Yes, God has this idea," Tang En said without blushing. "Tang En, let me ask you a question. Turtle Immortal said. Excuse me, Grandpa Came Sunnen. How far are you now? Or more specifically, can you defeat the great demon King Piccolo? Tang En tapped his fingers on the table. That shouldn't be a problem. Well, Turtle Immortal felt relieved. It was amazing. This is something that even the masters back then couldn't do. It's really amazing. He's still so young after all. End of this chapter. Chapter 45. Chapter 45. Turtle Immortal felt relieved. It was amazing. This is something that even the masters back then couldn't do. It's really amazing. He's still so young after all. Well, Turtle Immortal returned to his original state. It seems that we are no longer in the same realm. Then, the future of the people on Earth will be left to young people. Came Sunnen continued to turn his head to look at Goku and Krillin. Flynn, Wukong, you should practice hard. Yes, they both said in unison. Seeing that everyone felt more at ease, Tang En also felt happy in his heart. By the way, Lord God himself said that he would teach Wukong how to practice. Tang En said. This sentence was beyond everyone's expectations, and they all looked at Wukong in surprise. Really? Can I meet that amazing person? Wukong asked in surprise. Yes, I believe Wukong must also want to surpass me, right? Tang En said with a smile. Hee hee. Of course. Little Wukong said unceremoniously. Tang En turned to everyone and continued, by the way, Wukong's wishful stick is the way to the temple. I will take the time to put him in his place. I still hope that everyone can arrive at the temple as soon as possible. If you have passed the Kylan Tower practice, you can try the temple practice. Both Rem and Maslow looked at each other, with a fighting spirit in their hearts. Mr. Tang En, what is the breath you just mentioned? Tong Lia was very curious about the secret of practice. Tang En said very directly, to be honest, this is actually the basic skill of martial arts. Only by understanding the principle of breath can we practice with a goal. Like Wukong technique, Qigong waves are emitted by using the breath. Tong Lia seemed to understand but nodded politely. Tang En seemed to notice something and said casually, everyone has Kai, so we can judge a person's position and movements based on that. For example, I noticed a long time ago that the children of Demon King Piccolo were coming here. What did you say? What? Oolong shouted asshole exclamation. Why do you say such direct words with such an indifferent attitude? After all, he is the legendary guy exclamation. What? Is that monster coming? Everyone present subconsciously felt cold in their hearts. Correct. Hey, Oolong, you don't have to do this. Tang En noticed that Oolong ran over and hugged his leg, which made him very embarrassed. Don't let me face that monster alone. Oolong refuses to give up. So, what should we do next? Mr. Tang En, Tong Lia said. Tang En lifted Oolong to his seat and said thoughtfully, well, tell the king not to act rashly. Provoking the Demon King will cause many ordinary people to lose their lives. After all, it is better to leave the Demon King Piccolo to the martial arts masters to solve it. Now leave this demon to me, and I will destroy him. After that, I will take everyone to see the great Demon King Piccolo. After destroying him, everyone will start their own practice. Just plan this much first. I haven't thought about anything else. What an amazing plan. Tong Lia thought for a long time before saying this adjective. Well, everyone was a little dumbfounded. After all, Demon King Piccolo is already the biggest enemy imaginable. If you can even destroy him, do you really need to practice? In the palace at this moment, the king put down the phone. At this time, the king clenched his fists and opened and closed his mouth several times, but still no sound came out. After a moment of silence, the king finally stood up and said, Pierce, do you understand the news from Tong Lia? Yes, Your Majesty, Pierce responded. Then let's keep this matter quiet for now. After Mr. Tang En defeats the Demon King, we must invite him here again. Pierce responded. Your Majesty, the combat effectiveness of our royal guards has begun to take shape. How about no? It's too risky. Today's weapons are still not as powerful as the attacks of powerful martial artists, and the soldiers' training is also far behind. I have asked Dr. Breves for help with the equipment. Unfortunately, this doctor doesn't seem to be very concerned about this. It's really distressing. As for martial arts, you have to ask a real martial artist to help. I hope Tong Lia can convince those martial arts masters. Beers muttered. The martial arts club at night seems surprisingly peaceful. Crane Immortal and Dumpling were sitting on stools, and there were prizes from the competition on the table, but both of them turned a blind eye to them. Go and get Tianjin Fan, Zianrun said. Yes. Dumpling pushed the stool down with his hand and ran to Tianjin Fan's room. The Tianjin Fan in front of him has been wrapped with many bandages, and his physical condition has improved a lot, but he is still there in a daze, still holding the fairy bean in his hand. Tianjin Fan, Master calls you? Dumpling approached Tianjin Fan and said to him. Tianjin Fan looked at his best friend, calmed down, and responded lightly. I know, dumplings. Dumpling looked at Tianjin Rice without moving. Tianjin Fan carefully put away the fairy bean and sighed deeply. The road after that suddenly became confusing. Tianjin Fan didn't know what he was going to do for a while. He had a vague feeling that he might not want to live like this anymore. Suddenly. Ugh! Help! A shrill cry woke the two of them. The voice of Crane Immortal. Tianjin Fan suddenly raised his head. It's the master. Tianjin Fan and Jiaozi heard the voice of Immortal Crane, and they ran out immediately. After rushing out of the door, the two saw the panicked Taxianren. Zianren's eyes were dull, and he collapsed on the ground and kept retreating. Demons! Now a green-skinned winged monster smiled jokingly, then pointed at the Tianjin Rice and said to the Crane Immortal, Is he the champion of this competition? Powerlessly, memories from 300 years ago flooded into Taxianren's mind. The exact same feeling, that fear. It's been so long. The Crane Immortal stared at the note with the word Chinese letter in the green man's hand, and a strong sense of fear swept into his mind. Then Zianren retreated to the corner and shouted in disbelief, The great demon King Bibek? Unbelievable. This is also the feeling of Tianjin Fan. When will his master become so scared? Tianjin Fan shivered in discomfort. Demon King Piccolo, who is this? It seems like I heard it a long time ago. Oh, Naru drank too much. You can recognize us. Well, I didn't expect anyone would know about us after 300 years. You are very good, old man. Dambalin held the martial arts manual, which recorded the martial arts masters competing in the competition. Tianjin Fan and Sun Wukong were at the top. Crane Immortal is going crazy! Kill. Kill him. Tianjin Fan, kill him quickly. Otherwise, we will all die. Crane Immortal roared. Okay. After all, it's easy to tell if the other party is bad. At this moment, Tianjin Fan immediately started to take action, but his body was already exhausted and his movements were extremely slow, so he was easily dodged. What? Tianjin Fan looked ugly. Dambalin laughed wildly. Ha ha ha. Is this the number 1 player in the world? It doesn't look like he's very strong. Take the move. The sharp claws scratched Tianjin Fan's chest, and a line of blood shot out. Ugh. Damn it. Tianjin Fan knelt down on one hand and covered the wound on his chest. Old wounds add new ones, which makes Tianjin Fan's eyes look unhealthy and red. Huh? A person with superpowers? Dambalin said curiously. It was clear that his hand could kill the opponent just now, but when he took action, he was invisibly blocked by a force, thus only hurting the opponent. Dambalin turned his head and saw the panicked little man. Little thing, you are really in the way. Boom! Dambalin kicked the dumpling away! The other party hit the wall of the house and passed out directly. Dumplings! Tianjin Fan shouted with difficulty. Dambalin looked at the passed-out dumpling. Hey, it turns out you are also a martial artist. What is your name? Dambalin flipped through a few pages of the book in his hand. Yes, it's called Dumplings. Then let you die first. Dambalin said ferociously, jumping up high, ready to give Dumpling a fatal blow. Inside the department. Dumplings, be careful. Tianjin Fan immediately rushed out, stood in front of Dumpling, and took the leg boom exclamation. The skinny camel was bigger than the horse, but the weak Tianjin Fan still took the blow and flew backwards several meters, which surprised Dambalin. Puchai. Tianjin Fan was holding the dumplings with a trace of blood flowing from his mouth. Dambalin was a little angry. As a noble demon, he couldn't even kill 2 ants! It's touching, but you really pissed me off. Suffer to death. He used all his strength to attack with one claw. Tianjin Fan is holding the ground with one hand. This opponent's every move is critical, and he really can't take it. Brush! A sharp tearing sound. Boom! Ugh. It's doomed. Tianjin Fan's whole body tensed up and he closed his eyes unwillingly! Few tilde. The smoke disappeared. Tianjin Fan, who closed his eyes, didn't wait for the attack to come, so he couldn't help but open his eyes curiously. Nanani. At this time Dambalin had already exploded and fell outside, and the wall in front of him was cut through like tofu, revealing the broken steel bars! Tang En clapped his hands. What a risk. After getting the martial arts book, this guy came to you first and almost didn't catch up. You Tianjin Fan couldn't believe that such a powerful opponent could just didn't you eat my fairy beans? Tang En was curious. After all, the prosperous Tianjin Fan couldn't be bullied so badly by this guy. How could Tianjin Fan say anything at this time? Tang En said again, that guy is not dead yet, you should heal his injuries first. Tang En walked up to Dumpling, and gave him a fairy bean to the fainted one, and when he came over, he even glanced at Immortal Crane. Hexionran finally had a reaction, and his body shook. He was almost full of despair just now. In the eyes of Hexionran, the person in front of him suddenly appeared in front of him, and the next moment the terrifying demon flew out of the house. He didn't see anything, which reminded Hexionran of his master back then. At this time, came Immortal and others finally arrived in the house, which made the originally spacious room suddenly become a little small. Ah, where is that demon clan? Turtle Immortal said. Obviously, everyone heard the fighting here. Hexionran looked very unhappy and said nothing. Cough, cough, damn it. Dambalin touched the corner of his mouth with his hand, and was furious when he saw the purple blood on his hand. Nandado. Unforgivable. Damn humans, how dare you attack a great demon like me? Everyone saw the angry Dambalin in front of them, and they all prepared to defend themselves. However, no one acted rashly. After all, they all saw the injured Tianjin Fan. At this time, Tianjin Rice and Dumplings finally swallowed the fairy beans and recovered as before. Thank you. Dumpling thanked Tang En. Hey, it's okay. Tang En waved his hand. What should we do? Tianjin Fan asked Tang En subconsciously. But before Tang En could answer, Dambalin rushed over, accompanied by incompetent rage! Give me death. Dambalin waved his sharp claws again. Good come. Tang En lunged and clenched his fist, showing no fear. He had not released his strength for a long time. I'll take your sacrifice flag today! Prepare punch! Boom! The simple fist stamped on Dambalin's head. Snapped! Tang En's punch used extremely powerful skills, and the sharp attack completely deformed the opponent's head! But miraculously, this punch did not knock the opponent even 1 centimeter away. Wow! Dambalin took a few steps back. Wow! Dambalin's eyes were dull and he kept spitting out white liquid. Finally, Dambalin fell to the ground unconscious and fell into a deep sleep forever. So awesome, Plin said in surprise. Tianjin Fan's pupils shrank and he looked at Tang En in shock. Is he actually so powerful? At this moment Turtle Immortal came to Crane Immortal and said to him, The great demon King Piccolo has been released from the seal. We need your help. Xianren stood up forcibly, holding onto his legs and panting. Are you kidding? Do you want me to deal with that kind of monster with you? I'm telling you, Wu Qian, that kind of experience is enough for me once. Crane Immortal shouted at Kame Immortal, and then turned his attention to Tianjin rice and dumplings. Why don't you come with me? Are you two going to die with them? The big devil will definitely avenge his men. Crane Immortal said angrily. Tianjin Fan said in embarrassment, but they did it to save us, that's the best. Let them face it on their own. We just leave. Who wants them to meddle in their own business? Crane Immortal took steps to prepare to leave here. Tianjin rice and dumplings lowered their heads and did not respond. What? You're still resisting my order? Crane Immortal turned around and said. Tianjin Fan clenched his fists and finally made up his mind. Master, you go. I decided to stay and fight with them. Tianjin Fan. The dumpling floated into the sky, pulling Tianjin Fan's shoulders and deciding to go forward and retreat with him. The expressions of the two of them were extremely determined. Okay, you two ungrateful things. Then just go die. Immortal He's expression was extremely gloomy, and he rushed out of the door alone. Turtle Immortal walked up to Tianjin Fan and patted his shoulder quietly. He wasn't like this before. Thank you for the 5,100-point reward. Next, the author will still work hard to build a beautiful Dragon Ball world. End of this chapter. Chapter 46 Angry Old Piccolo. Chapter 46 Angry Old Piccolo on an airship in the sky. Stay out. Cough, cough Dambalin. My child. The big devil twitched all over. This was the bad reaction brought to him by the death of the child. He is really too old now. Wu. The three of Pilaf looked at the scene in front of them in fear. Piccolo's body turned green and purple at this time. Veins popped out on his arms, and his fingernails were clenched tightly on the seat, looking very ferocious. The most terrifying thing was that old Bic was squirming and spitting out light yellow liquid from his mouth, which made the three of Pilaf hug each other tightly and tremble in fear. The bird-headed and pointed beak man held the piano with the big devil Piccolo and gently hammered the devil's back. After a while, Piccolo's aura finally calmed down, and he raised his head angrily and said, Damn it, the child I gave birth to through pain was actually killed. No matter who you are, I will never let you go. Next, I, the great demon King Piccolo, will personally take action to let you know how powerful my demon clan is. Demon King Piccolo looked at a Dragon Ball in his hand and said to his men, No one can collect all 7 Dragon Balls. After all, I have one in my hand. I want to kill the guy who killed Dambalin first. But we don't know who killed Lord Dambalin, Pilaf said in fear. Piccolo's face looked slightly ugly. His time now was extremely precious. The bird-headed man's eyes moved, and he reminded Piccolo, Lord Demon King, aren't we on top of the palace now? As long as we capture their king and let him know, we won't be afraid that the other party won't come out. This method barely complies with Piccolo's wishes. Old Bic grinned, just in time, killing 2 birds with 1 stone! All right then, let's go. The martial arts venue at this moment. I didn't expect you to be so strong. Tianjin Fan looked at the dead Dambalin in front of him and said to Tang En, The last time I won against you, you were really weak. After we defeat that Demon King, if I am still alive, I will definitely ask for advice again. Ah, no problem at all. Tang En looked at the sincere Tianjin rice and agreed. Twain, are you really sure? That is the legendary Demon King, Bulma said worriedly. Well, there should be no problem. Tang En agreed. Without further ado, let's get started now. KP, I'm here, Doctor. You can send Bulma and the others back first. It's enough to just keep a few of us. Tang En circled the contestants with his hand, including Monkey King, Tianjin Fan, Maslow, and other contestants. Okay. Kategi nodded. Wait a minute, Turtle Immortal said. Tang En looked at Xianren and said, Grandpa Xianren wants to visit too? Wow, Kaka, I can't sit still with my old bones. I hope I don't make more trouble. Gui Zionren scratched his head in embarrassment and said in a slightly self-deprecating tone, "No way, it would be great if Grandpa Kamesunren could come." Boom! Tang En threw out a universal capsule and immediately transformed into a plane as everyone's means of transportation. After all, it is certainly inconvenient for me to bring so many people directly. Do you want to come with us? Tang En asked Tong Lia. No, I'll go to the palace to report the news to His Majesty the King first. I will be waiting for the good news from Mr. Tang En. Tong Lia smiled and replied to Tang En. Well, that's fine too. At this time, Tang En paid attention to old Bic's aura. At this time, he was actually near Zidu coincidence. An unknown premonition arose in my heart. Jingle a ringtone rang, and Tong Lia answered the phone. It was a recording. By please support. Miss Tong Lia, His Majesty the King and Mr. Pierce were captured by a man called Big Demon King Piccolo. Our army is useless. Please be sure to ask Mr. Tang En for rescue. Everyone present heard this sentence. Tong Lia turned pale and looked at Tang En for help. Bulma, I'll be back soon. Everyone, hurry up and get on the plane. Tang En didn't talk too much nonsense. Tong Lia was considered a friend after all, so I still need to help with this. I'd better go with you. I can control the plane for you. Bulma jumped onto the plane. Tang En nodded. He didn't think there was anyone on Earth who could make him helpless. Blah blah blah. Group of people quickly got on the plane and took off, but according to the speed of the plane, it would take at least 2 hours to reach Piccolo. 2 hours is still a long time. If the king died, Tang En would not know other high-level government officials. Tang En thought for a moment and said, "The plan has changed. I originally wanted to choose an opponent for everyone, but once something happens to the king, many things will become troublesome. How about I go ahead and follow?" Everyone nodded, and everyone felt more at ease with Tang En. That's fine, Tang En. Remember to avoid ordinary people as much as possible during the battle. We will be there soon. Turtle Immortal reminded Tang En. I will. I can also perform air dance. Please let me follow you. Tianjin Fan requested. Tang En did not refuse. Okay, let's go first, and everyone can just drive directly to Zidu. Tianjin Fan saw that Tang En did not refuse, and then said to the dumplings, "Dumpling, you stay on the plane with everyone." Dumpling didn't refute because he also felt that he would become a burden. "Then I'll leave it to you two," Tong Lia said. "Let's go." The other side, Sambalu pays homage to the great demon king. A fat pterosaur-like creature came to Old Bic and said to Old Bic on the throne, "Sambalu, my child, your brother Dambalin is dead." Old Bic said, "What? Lord Demon King, is there anyone in this world who can fight against us demons? Dambalin is even stronger than him. Be patient, those people will be here soon, and the one below is their king. Long live the great demon king." Sambalu praised. "Where is the Dragon Ball you found now?" Old Bic asked. "They're all here." Sambalu opened his palm, revealing 2 Dragon Balls. "Very good." Old Piccolo smiled rarely. It was already good to find 2 Dragon Balls in just 1 or 2 days. At this moment, the king and Pierce were tied up in a cell, and the 3 men guarding him were Pilaf. The 3 Pilafs also murmured one after another, feeling that Demon King Piccolo had treated them badly, but they dared to get angry but did not dare to speak out. Time passed little by little, and in just half an hour, Tang En and Tianjin Fan were already here. This place has long been surrounded by the army, but no one dares to act rashly. After all, they have already realized how powerful their opponents are, not to mention that the king is still in their hands. Tang En and Tianjin Fan went around directly from the air and arrived near the big demon King Piccolo, where they could vaguely see some dead soldiers on the ground. "Okay. 2 more bugs are coming." Sambalu flicked his tail and hit Tianjin Fan directly on the head. Most of the soldiers who came to rescue the king in the past were killed by this blow. Tianjin Fan didn't dare to be careless and quickly blocked it with both arms. Snapped. Okay? Tianjin Fan was a little surprised at the unexpected ease. Subconsciously, Tianjin Fan turned from defense to offense, grabbed his opponent's tail and threw him violently! Boom! Sambalu, who was knocked away, smashed through the wall and fell into the house. Tianjin Fan was a little surprised. This guy was unexpectedly weak. Lord Demon King. Something bad has happened. Lord Sambalu has been defeated. The bird-headed man saw this admiration and quickly reported it to the big demon king Piccolo. He should also be the demon clan created by the great demon king Piccolo, but he is relatively weak, so there is nothing to worry about, Tang En said to Tianjin Fan. Tianjin Fan nodded and immediately became afraid to be careless. The two stood at the door, waiting for the demon king to appear. Woo! Sambalu was covered in the gravel, and he was crawling out vigorously at this moment. Damn it! He roared unwillingly. Okay. Tang En felt that this guy was really not smart. He was just lying there with such weak strength. Tang En is not Monkey King. He has no interest in the weak. In his eyes, if the enemy has no other plans, just kill him on the spot! Hum whoosh! Tang En did not hesitate and directly fired a kick. Boom! No need to look, it must have died. Damn it! Simbolo. Another of his children was killed! The great demon king Piccolo entered a state of madness. After all, his physical condition at this time was not enough to support his continuous creation of demons. Who killed my child? Demon King Piccolo walked out angrily, holding the door frame with his arms, and said through gritted teeth. There were only two people in front of him, Tang En and Tianjin Fan. However, Tang En took a step back and came behind Tianjin Fan. It's him. Tianjin Fan, please give me a tip and recommendation. End of this chapter. Chapter 47 Doubt About Life. Chapter 47 Doubt About Life. Wow. Stupid humans. You will see the terror of our demons. Big Demon King Piccolo's veins popped out. I know it. Tang En was a little speechless in his heart. Why did this Demon King feel like a middle-aged man? There was no sense of oppression at all when he watched the anime. Of course, this is only Tang En's idea. Tianjin Fans don't think so. He was stiff now, bracing himself to go all out. Come on, Tianjin Rice. Okay. Tianjin Fan nodded heavily quickly. Piccolo's angry punch directly hit Tianjin Fan's chest! Boom! Pop! Tianjin Fan stretched out his arms to resist, but was pushed back more than 10 meters. His arms were numb. A deep mark was also opened under his feet. Not a match at all, Tang En murmured. After integrating the martial arts knowledge in his mind, the experience of countless people told Tang En a truth: oppressive fighting is always more useful than blind cultivation. With Tang En here, of course he would not watch Tianjin Fan being beaten to death, so he would let Tianjin Fan fight the big devil Piccolo, and the effect would definitely be good. I guess so. At this time, Tang En saw the tragic scene of Tianjin Rice, and suddenly he was not so sure. At this time, Tianjin Fan had no idea of Tang En's plan, but he had no time to think about it at the moment. Piccolo's huge fist was not easy to receive. Boom! The gap between the two was still huge. Piccolo grabbed Tianjin Fan's head and drove him directly into the wall. Tianjin Fan groaned. Then, Piccolo's huge palms clasped Tianjin Fan's face, and he ran and slapped the back of Tianjin Fan's head on the steel bar. Too late to react! This is the idea of Tianjin Rice. The wall was shattered by the impact, which made Tang En feel a little painful just looking at it. Death to me! Tianjin Fan struggled hard, but to no avail. Just as Piccolo continued to attack Tianjin Fan with his other hand, suddenly 2 arms appeared on Tianjin's back and sent a whole wave towards the big devil Piccolo. Big Demon King Piccolo trembled all over, and he immediately let go of his hand in a panic. but he was still rubbed on the face by the unexpected whole wave laugh! Piccolo's face was burned with blood, and some old flesh even turned black. A lot call. Tianjin Fan took a deep breath after being put down, and then quickly flew into the sky, hoping to take a breather. Demon King Piccolo didn't shout or cry at the moment, but his trembling body always explained his anger at the moment. He touched the blood on his face, and his eyes became darker and more angry! Piccolo can't wait to kill all humans at this time. Looking at the Tianjin rice in the sky, Big Devil Piccolo jumped up and down! Boring stuff. Piccolo jumped in the air and ducked behind Tianjin Fan! What? Tianjin Fan asked in surprise. He didn't expect this monster to fly! Tianjin Fan, who was caught off guard, was immediately hammered to the ground by Demon King Piccolo. Not good! Tianjin Fan immediately tried to stand up. But before Tianjin Fan could fully react, Big Devil Piccolo stepped on him. What click? Huge physical trauma forced Tianjin Fan to withdraw from 4 Demon Fist. Piccolo stepped on Tianjin Fan and hit Tianjin Fan with more than 10 punches. Boom! Thump. At this moment, I saw the earth ripples downwards. Tianjin Fan struggled to integrate an attack gap and desperately used another move. Sun Fist. A burst of dazzling white light appeared, and old Bick subconsciously covered it with his hands, but his eyes were still hurt by the glare. What? Cunning bug. Tianjin Fan kicked Piccolo over and punched him in the face! Boom! Piccolo was staggered by the beating. Hateful. Tianjin Fan found that his attack really couldn't cause much damage to this monster! That's it! Tianjin Fan took advantage of this opportunity to escape and immediately came to the sky, preparing to use all his strength: kick and block everything up. Slow. A pair of hands placed on Tianjin Fan's shoulders. It was Tang En. Stop it, you're going to die. Tang En felt that he was a little reckless this time. Whether it was Sun Wukong or Tianjin Fan, they were definitely no match for the Big Devil Piccolo right now. Just getting beaten is not very efficient. What's more, this guy fired a Qigong cannon over a disagreement. After all, Tianjin Fan is still very weak, so he can't use this trick too many times. Since I'm here, there is no need for Tianjin Fans to work so hard. But one thing worth mentioning is that Tianjin Fans are probably aware of the huge gap between them and their opponents, and they will definitely be more motivated in their subsequent training. Tang En thought shamelessly. Although Tianjin Fan still had some energy left at this time, he was already out of breath and his arms were trembling. Okay. Tianjin Fan stopped gathering energy. At this moment, Big Demon King Piccolo had also escaped from the stimulation of Sun Fist and stood straight on the spot. Piccolo touched the part that was hit by Tianjin Fan. It's so itchy. Piccolo found that this guy's strength still can't threaten him at all. It's still a relatively strong ant. It hasn't died after being hit so many times by me. The big devil clenched his fists and grinned. Panting, Tianjin Fan made room for Tang En and reminded, this guy is too strong, why don't we join forces when Wukong comes? No, he won't wait for us for hours. Tang En came out, still a little excited in his heart. This was his real fight against a boss-level person. Come on, your opponent now is me. Demon King Piccolo smiled wildly. Why, aren't you hiding behind that three-eyed person? Old Bick looked at Tang En, and his years of combat experience told him that the man in front of him was pitifully weak. Demon King Piccolo would not pity a weak enemy. He had already imagined the opponent's desperate voice. Take the call. Brush! Old Bick jumped up suddenly and used the force in the air to throw a straight punch without any concealment! Hit Tang En directly in the face. Are you frightened? Old Bick laughed wildly, and the person in front of him couldn't even move. Oops! Tianjin Fan said worriedly. Boom! Piccolo's fist came into close contact with Tang En's face. Piccolo's strike was so fast and powerful that the dust on the ground rose. Ahaha! How pitiful! Demon King Piccolo teased. He must not even be able to react. Well, laugh. Is it only to this extent? This was what Tang En was thinking, and he was secretly pleased. I am indeed much stronger! Exclamation at this moment. Tang En's head was slightly tilted back by that blow, but it did not cause any damage to Tang En at all. Having said that, Tang En does not have any masochistic tendencies. He is just curious about the true strength of Big Devil Bic. Looking at it now, the old Piccolo, who is only in his early s, is really weak and pitiful. Big Devil Piccolo grabbed Tang En's collar and prepared to continue crushing Tang En's face with his fists. Hey hey hey! Tang En grabbed old Bic's wrist with one hand, preventing him from moving forward. Huh? Do you still have the strength? Then the great demon King Piccolo first praised, and then prepared to press down hard. However, how? Piccolo started to panic. Not only couldn't push his wrist forward, he couldn't even pull it out. Illusion? A sense of powerlessness emerged spontaneously after 300 years, and Demon King Piccolo seemed to think of the feeling that he had no resistance in the demon sealing wave. Impossible. Piccolo's legs sank deep into the ground, preparing to use his strength to pull his wrists out. What exclamation! A scream of pain. Because old Bic was tall and his wrist was very thick compared to Tang En's, Tang En grabbed the opponent's arm tightly, and the opponent's struggle even dug into Tang En's fingers. Damn it! Old Bic was very frightened and angry. Tang En felt that there was liquid left in his palm, so he let go of his hand, causing Piccolo to stagger. Tianjin Fan looked at the scene in front of him in shock. The overwhelming result had a great impact on him. Go to hell. Old Bic fired a magic flash with his backhand, quickly rushed towards Tang En, and wrapped him in it. Boom! Exclamation! The powerful Kegung swept the buildings behind Tang En into dust, and the aftermath traveled tens of meters before gradually stopping. Ha! Careless guy, no one can withstand this move head-on. Piccolo Demon King Ula Ula smiled, his voice a little excited. Bang! Before the smoke cleared, an elbow hit old Bic on the head and knocked him to the ground. Puff! Piccolo's eyes bulged outwards from the blow, and dense bloodshot eyes were exposed. At the same time, a large mouthful of blood spurted out. Old Bic stood up as quickly as possible. His body began to sway, his mind was buzzing, and his physical fitness was almost at an extreme level at this moment. Tang En was a little speechless. Why didn't he spit out the eggs? If he beat him again, he would really die. In this case, the gods and dragons would also die. Damn it! Damn it! Why? Old Bic fell into deep disbelief. He could not understand the scene in front of him and just repeated these few sentences. End of this chapter. Chapter 48, Tang En's Strategy. Chapter 48, Tang En's Strategy. Damn it. Damn it. Why? Old Bic fell into deep disbelief. He could not understand the scene in front of him and just repeated these few sentences. Why are there such strong humans? It's impossible. Thinking back to the beginning, even the strongest Wu Taidu was no match for him. In the end, he risked his life to seal himself into the Tao Demon Seal Pori. Am I already so weak? I want the Dragon Ball. Cough. Cough. Piccolo barely stood up and controlled himself to stop the purple and milky white liquid flowing out of his mouth. However, the elbow hit just now had severely damaged his body, which he could not repair. Hateful. He is so unwilling, he can't die yet! Exclamation! Boom! Exclamation! Suddenly, the ground beneath Piccolo's feet cracked, and Piccolo flew out in the other direction! Exclamation! This is to escape. I want to regain my youth. When I get young, I will kill you, Old Bic said through gritted teeth. No one can surpass the demon clan's Wukong technique. This is the last stubbornness of the great demon King Piccolo. Escape! Tianjin Fan shouted, pointing to the sky. Tang En watched Piccolo fly out without even the thought of pursuing him. After all, it was very simple to stop such a flight. Pull! Exclamation! A rapidly gathering whole wave condensed into Tang En's hand! Exclamation! Laugh! Exclamation! The whole wave immediately flew out from Tang En's finger. In less than a second, the blow passed through the big devil's thigh. What? The serious injury and burning pain caused old Bick to lose his balance immediately, and then he fell freely and smashed through the ceiling of the palace! Tang En clapped his hands. Tianjin, go rescue the king and let the Demon King's subordinates tell you the location. Tang En pointed at the bird-headed monster and said to Tianjin. Okay. Tianjin was greatly shocked, and he didn't even notice that Tang En was using their style of dong wave. The piano took a few steps back in fear, in disbelief. The great Demon King failed. Tang En flew into the sky at this time and moved to the position of Big Demon King Piccolo. At this moment, Big Devil Piccolo buried himself underground, trying to pretend to be dead or avoid Tang En. It looks quite pathetic. But these are definitely impossible for Tang En. Old Bick's murderous aura is as conspicuous as a watt light bulb in the dark slam. Tang En put his arm into the ruins and took out the Big Devil Piccolo. Piccolo was really desperate this time. Tang En looked at Piccolo, who had lost hope in his eyes, thought about it carefully, and immediately came up with a little plan. After all, you have to leave him a glimmer of hope. Alas! What a pity, you are too old, Tang En said regretfully. If you were young, even I would have to avoid your sharp edges. It's such a pity. But it's too late to say anything now, you will be killed by me. When old Bick heard these words, he immediately trembled with anger, and a strong obsession suddenly arose in his heart. That's right. Damn humans. Damn Mo Fengbo, if it wasn't like this, how could I be where I am today? Big Demon King Piccolo was unwilling to give in. I can't die, by the way. I have another way. Piccolo clenched his fists. Damn you. As long as I'm young again, I will kill everyone who resists me. Big Devil Piccolo doesn't believe that anyone can defeat him. As long as Tang En says this, he will take it as true. Even if it is self-deception, he will believe it. Big Devil Piccolo began to try to find opportunities to complete the plan in his heart. Of course Tang En knew what he was thinking. Then, Tang En threw the Big Devil Piccolo into the air, preparing to kill him with the last move. Turtle pie. Good opportunity. Piccolo floated into the air and used all his energy! He wants to give birth to an offspring that contains all his essence, which will be the continuation of his life! When Tang En saw this, he knew something was going on, and quickly slowed down the gathering speed of the Turtle School Kigon. I just don't know if Demon King Piccolo will be immediately pissed to death when he knows the truth. At this moment, Piccolo's neck expanded rapidly, and his breath dropped to the extreme again. Ugh! Piccolo roared ferociously. Tang En waited secretly, and when he felt a breath separate from Piccolo's body, he knew that the opportunity had come. It's now! Turtle School Kigong Wave. Hold head high whoops. As soon as Big Devil Piccolo spit out his eggs, he was greeted by Tang En's Kigong Wave. My child, one day, you must avenge your father, and you must not let evil end just like this. What exclamation rumbling then, everything disappeared. Dang, as soon as Tianjin ran out with the king and Pierce, he saw the scene in front of him. The Big Devil Piccolo was wiped out by a shockwave. Tianjin fans were stunned. Pierce reacted and held Tianjin hand tightly. Win. You really saved everyone. Tianjin forced a smile and felt a strange feeling in his heart. Tang En stared at the egg with the hope of the great Demon King Piccolo and thought in his heart, it's really taken a lot of effort. I hope you can become a righteous warrior like before, so that you can live up to my efforts. This can be regarded as Tang En's trust in the Namekians. Then, when Bulma arrived at the palace in her plane, she suddenly discovered the scene. Miss Bulma, Miss Tong Lia, the king has invited everyone to enter the palace. A soldier said after saluting. Where is Demon King Piccolo? Bulma asked. At this moment, judging from the collapsed buildings of the palace, it can still be understood that some people have experienced battles. Little Wukong kept looking at the scene around him. Where is this? It looks so shabby. At this time, the soldier said proudly, "The great demon King Piccolo has been eliminated by Mr. Tang En." Real Bulma was filled with joy. "What, is my boyfriend still so good?" Bulma crossed her arms, feeling infinitely happy. The people behind him also looked confused. They had just arrived, and they were determined to die, and it was over like this. Where is this demon king who was promised to rule the world ere all fairy tales lies? How is His Majesty the King? Tong Leah asked. "Don't worry, Miss Tong Leah, His Majesty the King and General Pierce were rescued by Mr. Tianjin Fan. Please don't worry." Everyone was led to another intact palace, where Tang En and Tianjin Fan were both here, together with the king and Pierce. Tianjin Fan. Dumpling flew to Tianjin Fan's side, looking very worried about Tianjin Fan's condition. "Dumplings." Tianjin Fan had half of his body bandaged again, and he was very happy to see the dumplings. Mutual care from gay friends. No wonder Lan Kai from the original novel didn't want it. Tang En brought Bulma to him, and the others also took their seats. "Wow, what a beautiful place." Klin sat down on the chair carefully. After a while, various banquets were brought out. "Wow, I'm starting." Wukong's eyes glowed, completely forgetting his original purpose, and started eating. Now he doesn't know what kind of opponent he has missed. Klin, Rem, Tianjin Fan, and others were really a little cautious about eating, and there were always things they wanted to ask. "I'm so confused. Did Demon King Piccolo die like this?" Tang En responded to the king's request and gave a general summary of his battle. However, the matter of the second generation of Piccolo was temporarily concealed. Through Tianjin Fan's supplement, everyone also knew about Tang En's terrifying strength now. Even Demon King Piccolo has no power to fight back. Sure enough, he is really a powerful guy, so scary, Kame Sennin thought. What? 3 seconds later, Kame Sennin returned to his true nature and began to try to take advantage of the waitress next to him. The recommended website is here. Thank you all for your support during this time! Grateful. End of this chapter. Chapter 49. The Dragon Reappears. Chapter 49. The dragon reappears. At this banquet, everyone was generally happy. The king once again mentioned the matter of cultivating martial arts masters, and Tang En thought for a while and agreed. After all, he is the only one who is making slow progress in martial arts right now, so he can spare a lot of time to sort out the path for another breakthrough. The king also said that he would award some kind of prize to everyone, but he was rejected by Turtle Immortal. He still wanted his disciples to concentrate on practicing, and then the matter was settled. When the meal was almost done, Tianjin Fan stood up first and said with shame, "I have really benefited a lot from getting along with everyone during this time." Tianjin Fan turned his attention to Tang En and continued, "I also know that there are people outside the real world, and there is a sky outside the world." Laugh. Tang En laughed. "I just want to keep working hard now, even if it's just to improve a little bit." Tianjin Fan is very sincere, and everyone can feel his strong determination to become stronger. Even Tianjin Fan, "Aren't you a match for the big demon King Piccolo?" Sun Wukong asked. Tianjin Fan lowered his head and shook his head. There is no resistance at all. Only then did Sun Wukong react and pursed his lips. "So Yozai, then I have to practice harder." Sun Wukong jumped off the stool and said seriously. The atmosphere suddenly changed. Tang En said seriously, "Everyone, after today, each of us will start our own practice. But what I want to say is that if you can, you should still go to Kellen Tower or challenge the temple." He still wants everyone to become stronger as soon as possible. Tang En once again clearly emphasized that after all, only the temple has the ability to master breath. Everyone agreed with Tang En's words this time, and regarded Kylin Tower as their primary goal. "Wukong, do you want me to take you to the temple?" Tang En asked. Monkey King turned his head to look at Tang En. "No, I want to use my wishful stick to climb up myself." Sun Wukong replied. "Okay, have ambition." Tang En nodded and did not comment on Wukong's behavior. At this moment, everyone's passion was also aroused and they were preparing for the next journey. Then, Tang En distributed 10 fairy beans to everyone to prevent their lives from being put in danger. After the banquet, the king sent someone to send Tang En and the others away, and everyone's journey finally began. In the blink of an eye, half a year has passed. Sometimes things just change so suddenly. For example, I don't know when, Kylan Holy Land slowly gained a lot of people. Now, almost every 10 days and a half, you will see some people trying to climb this tower. The most powerful martial arts masters on the earth suddenly became popular. Various martial arts associations organized by kingdoms emerged one after another, large and small, all over the country. There are even specialized personnel who go to select children to practice in the palace, but currently they are limited to orphans. This really surprises all ordinary people! Those martial artists who are winners or have outstanding abilities will receive invitations from the kingdom and get the opportunity to join the special forces. This is also Tang En's suggestion for the king. It can kill 2 birds with 1 stone. It can not only select the first-class ordinary people and the seeds of strong men on the earth, but also concentrate the country's talents into the government. The king decided to give the special teams a name to record the future of the most powerful team in the world. Earth Force, the king said, still as unpretentious as ever. Pierce flattered him. How about Tangent's special team? The king obviously agreed very much and quickly asked Tang En for his opinion. No, it doesn't match. Tang En felt weird. I have one, let's call it the Guardian Alliance. When Tang En saw these words, they seemed particularly warm and familiar, and they were in line with his feelings. He was very unimpressed with Tang En's team. Of course, the 2 kings did not refute, so they decided on the name of the special forces. It's so touching, Master Tang En, I finally see you again. Woohoo! You have no idea how much suffering we have been through. I thought I'd never see you again, woo Pilaf said emotionally, while Ashiyu and Xiao Wu on the side had tears in their eyes and kept nodding. Have you found the remaining 4 Dragon Balls? Tang En asked. Of course, I, King Pilaf, will take action. There is nothing I can't do. Pilaf immediately changed his expression and said. Tang En walked to the bathroom and took a towel to wipe his face. He took a deep breath and Pilaf immediately followed him. That King Pilaf smiled admiringly and kept rubbing his hands. Tang En took out a universal capsule and handed it to King Pilaf. Pilaf was excited and hurriedly opened it. Wow, I got rich. Tang En took the Dragon Ball from Xiao Wu's hand and found 3 Dragon Balls from his body when he defeated Piccolo. At that time, Dun specifically lifted these 3 people out of the prison and placed them in the Almighty Group. After all, these 3 people are not evil people, and their technology index is quite full, so they might be able to help. This time, he asked them to collect the remaining 4 Dragon Balls for him at a price of 10 yuan per Dragon Ball. I don't know if this counts as bullying an honest person. Tang En continued to say to the 3 people: now, as long as you can figure out how to mass-produce this bean, I will give you as much as you want. Don En threw a magic bean to Pilaf. He and Bulma have both studied this thing. It is obviously a very ordinary bean, but its effect is so incredible. It really puzzled him. Pilaf looked forward to it. Can you really get as much as you want? What about 1,000 million? King Pilaf's eyes were shining, eager to give it a try. Tang En nodded and said affirmatively, even 100 million is fine. Wow! What a thrill! When the Pilaf trio saw Tang En agreeing to them, they quickly entered the laboratory to conduct research. It's really kind of cute. Tang En couldn't find any suitable adjectives for a while. Tang En looked at the 7 Dragon Balls in front of him. Come out, Shenlong. Tang En recited the spell, and a familiar light flashed out in an instant, and dark clouds suddenly enveloped the entire sky. Hold head high, say your wish. No matter what it is, I can make it come true for you. Tang En ignored this dragon who liked to talk nonsense and talked about some of his problems. Shenlong, do you know the specific origin of my god fist? Shenlong was silent for a while and then said, so, is this your wish? No. Say your wish. Are you remembering me? Tang En secretly asked. It doesn't matter if you can't answer, you will know one day. Ha 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 exclamation. Tang En took out his little notebook, which contained a long list of all kinds of wishes. Please recommend and reward. End of this chapter. Chapter 50 New Skills. Chapter 50 New Skills. Tang En took out his little notebook, which contained a long list of various wishes. Cough, cough, cough. Tang En cleared his throat. Please allow me to obtain the teleportation of Jabbit, the king of the practice world, Tang En said. This trick is so convenient, but this is a move of a high-level god. Tang En even thought of Shenlong. I'm sorry, this is beyond my ability. All kinds of things. Unexpected. Shenlong's eyes flashed red. This wish is simple. A burst of red light emerged from Tang En's body and enveloped Tang En's entire body. Numbing feeling. Then Tang En felt a kind of innate ability loaded into his body. It's done? Tang En couldn't believe it. This was too easy. After all, this was not the teleportation of Star Adrat. With this move, the entire universe is at your disposal. Tang En couldn't help but ask why? Doesn't the trainee Kaijin belong to the high-level gods? Obviously this was not the case, but Shenlong did not respond and just disappeared the moment his wish came true. Tang En was left with a lot of questions and was thinking wildly. It's really weird. The reason Tang En chose this wish was entirely because his practice had completely stalled. Since his combat power reached over 1,200, his improvement speed has been really slow. Up to now, basically no improvement can be seen. As early as 2 months ago, Tang En focused his energy on the practice of Tiantian Fist. And Tiantian Fist did not disappoint him. Now he has been able to improve his breath quality by more than 4 times. But this is really not a solution. After all, I know very little about the origin of Tiantian Fist. I can't put everything on him. I have to find a new way out. After all, normal strength is king. Tang En plans to go to planet Namek soon to see if he can ask the Great Elder to develop his potential. Tang En checked his newly learned teleportation. Godly skill. As long as there is an image of a certain place in your mind, you can get there at will. Very good. With this trick, you can go anywhere in the world. The night was quiet and the lights were soft. Through the bedroom window, you could vaguely hear the rustling outside. A gust of wind blew over and Bulma stretched so comfortable. Bulma closed the book, put on her fluffy slippers, closed the window, and glanced at the brightly lit gravity chamber. This is Tang En practicing. It was already very late. Bulma went back to bed and looked at the place next to her. But when the wind blew just now, her sleepiness disappeared again. Good night, God of Martial Arts. This is the title given to Tang En by the current king. The lights go out. Bulma closed her eyes and started getting ready for sleep. Suddenly, an arm hugged her, and then with a little force, he held her in his arms. Are you asleep? Tang En said softly. You will wake me up even if you fall asleep. Bulma whispered with her eyes closed. Except for the days when he was out adventuring, Tang En almost always slept in a separate room from Bulma. But 3 days ago, Tang En took the initiative to move his nest to this room. After 2 days of deliberation, Tang En had finally figured out Bulma's attitude. It's time to get down to business. The next day, Tang En inevitably gave up that day's morning exercise. The life of rich people is so boring and boring. Tang En was lying on a recliner and said in a strange tone. It was already noon. What nonsense are you talking about? Bulma rolled her eyes and sat next to Tang En. Tang En flipped his sunglasses to his forehead and basked in the sun quietly. Such a leisurely life was what life was like, but it was a pity that it was destined not to last long. What wish did you make yesterday? Bulma asked. There is still a lot of movement in making wishes. Teleport. Eh? Aren't you people already good at this kind of thing? Bulma was confused. Tang En rested his head on his arm. Well, those are just illusions caused by high-speed movement. Tang En continued. From today on, I can go anywhere in the world. Tang En couldn't help but raise his legs. Bulma, I love you. Tang En felt that his life was about to run out of motivation. Bulma was still a little shy and said arrogantly, you still have vision. The relationship between the two was originally led by Bulma, and Tang En never objected to Bulma's behavior. However, this talented and arrogant young lady sometimes gets angry and gives Tang En a real headache. But sometimes she is so considerate that people cannot live without her. Bulma quickly started some daily tasks, leaving Tang En alone. I wonder how Sun Wukong's practice is going. Tang En thought about it and built the idea of a temple in his heart. In an instant. When Tang En opened his eyes, he had indeed arrived at the temple. Oh, so handsome, Tang En exclaimed. This trick is so convenient. Well, Tang En's arrival quickly attracted the attention of Bobo and Sun Wukong. Tang En, how did you get here? Sun Wukong said. Hey, of course I'm here to visit Lord God. Tang En patted Sun Wukong on the head. He hasn't grown taller yet. It's really strange for Saiyans. Sun Wukong didn't understand Tang En's actions, but he didn't resist. However, the current little Wukong was badly repaired by Bobo. Lord God is in the temple, Bobo said to Tang En. Okay, thanks Bobo. Sun Wukong watched Tang En walk into the temple and asked Bobo, has Tang En passed the training in the temple? Of course, even Bobo is no match for him, Bobo said expressionlessly. Wow, that's too strong. I have to catch up with him quickly, Sun Wukong said with a serious expression. Then you have to work harder. It is good. Inside the temple, is it Tang En? It's me, Lord God. The god showed a smile. Then the god said to Tang En, I haven't had time to thank you yet, but you saved my life. This refers to Piccolo leaving behind descendants. Haha, how could a god die so easily? Tang En replied. What to do with that child? What are your plans? God asked. Of course Tang En doesn't have any malicious intentions. Although he has inherited everything from the great demon King Piccolo, he is indeed a brand new life. I think he can change his ways and return to righteousness. Tang En said this after thinking about it. Do you think so? The god was a little puzzled, but he didn't say anything. Yes, Tang En nodded. Leave it to me. I'll go check on this little guy in the next few days. Tang En was a little excited for a while. The god had no choice but to respond, well, if you say so. By the way, Tang En thought of his plan. By the way, Lord God, did you ever say that you came to Earth in an aircraft? Tang En asked his question. God was still very touched when this topic was brought up. After all, he has always wanted to know his life experience. End of this chapter. Chapter 51 Newborn Piccolo. Chapter 51 Newborn Piccolo. By the way, God, did you ever say that you came to Earth in an aircraft? Tang En asked his question. God was still very touched when this topic was brought up. After all, he has always wanted to know his life experience. Yes, have you discovered anything? Tang En spoke the truth vaguely. Yes, after my judgment, the gods should be aliens and a different race from the people on Earth. Alien? The gods didn't ask Tang En how he learned about it. I see. No wonder I look different from everyone else. Obviously, the god had some guesses about his identity. I learned advanced teleportation a few days ago, and I can move freely to any place in the universe, just to explore for the gods. Tang En said. That couldn't be better. The god nodded silently. In fact, he had already taken root on the earth. for him. Even if he knew his hometown, he would not have any plans to change his family. At this time, the god suddenly said, "This Sun Wukong is indeed a genius in cultivation. He has made great progress in just a few months." The god suddenly grinned, "Maybe I can really surpass you, Tang En couldn't ask for more. Now he hopes that someone can hold up the sky for him so that he can concentrate on studying a higher realm. I think so too. And I have something that is extremely suitable for his practice. You will be surprised," Tang En said to the god with confidence. "Oh, what is that?" The god was really curious. "Just watch." Tang En walked out of the temple. Tang En took out a universal capsule and threw it out. Boom! A new type of gravity chamber with the name of Magnum Group appeared on the floor of the temple. Hey, the spiritual time room is still too much for Wukong now. This tenfold gravity room can probably allow Wukong to practice for a long time, Tang En said in a low voice. Tang En walked over. At this time, Sun Wukong was already sensing the breath under Bobo's guidance. Tang En did not disturb him. "Mr. Bobo, after Wukong masters the practice of breath, he must be allowed to practice there. Maybe the effect will surprise you," Tang En said. "Is it?" Bobo didn't know the meaning, but nodded anyway. After all, if Sun Wukong is really taught to breathe, then I have nothing to give him. Then, Tang En took out a bag of fairy beans, probably dozens of them. "Mr. Bobo, this is the fairy bean. It can heal all injuries instantly." Tang En planned to put some of them in the temple for emergencies. Well, Bobo took these things and nodded expressionlessly, looking extremely dumb. At the beginning, Tang En brought a total of more than fairy beans from Kylan Tower, but now he has only used a fraction of them. As long as they are used properly, Tang En will certainly not be stingy with these things. I estimate that I will leave the Earth for a period of time. During this period, Tianjin fans will definitely board the temple one after another. If they want to try the gravity chamber, feel free to let them use it, Tang En said to Bobo. Saiyans plus gravity chamber plus senzu beans, this should be enough to defy the heavens. Tang En felt a burst of envy just thinking about the buff bonus of infinite frequent death. I hope those people on Earth will not follow the trend without thinking. God, Bobo, Wukong, see you in 3 years. Tang En jumped off the temple. This time he had already agreed with Bulma that he would go to the hometown of the god. But he comes back every once in a while. After all, teleportation is so capricious, traveling across galaxies without distinction. But before that, he needed to do one last thing, call exclamation at night. Everything is silent. In a deep forest somewhere on the earth, a little man with green pointed ears was walking upright with a gloomy face. At this time, he passed by a house. Words full of joy came from a small room. How is it, Saiyangji? There are so many gifts. A man's voice. Are Saiyangji happy today? This is a woman. In the middle of the night, a ray of light in the hut made the surroundings seem unusually warm. Through the window, Piccolo Roman 2 saw a pair of parents celebrating their daughter's birthday. Happy. Thank you, Dad. Thank you, Mom. The little girl happily blew out the candles on the cake, and her parents applauded in celebration. Happy birthday. Thank you. At this time, Piccolo's long nails touched the window and he silently watched the scene in front of him. Indifferent eyes boring humans. At the same time, an extra stone appeared on Piccolo's right hand. This is for you, open it and take a look, said the man inside. The little girl opened the gift package. Yeah, it's a model airplane, thank you, Dad. The father caressed his daughter's head and the 3 of them enjoyed family happiness together. Plap. At this time, there was a crisp sound and the 3 of them were startled exclamation. Soon, my father realized that someone had smashed their window. Bastard. The father took out his shotgun and pushed open the door. This movement attracted the attention of the mother and daughter, and they quickly followed. The 3 of them went out. but they didn't find anyone's shadow, and they were stunned for a while. Click, there was another sound. Ah, my plane. As soon as the girl turned her head, she found that her plane had been smashed to pieces. Is that the murderer? A little green-skinned man was in the house at the moment. The little girl burst into tears. Asshole. When the father saw that the gift he gave to his daughter was broken, he became angry. Piccolo turned around and ran away so fast that his father could not reach him. What exclamation, his father couldn't catch up and could only watch him go away. Hateful. Boom exclamation, the angry father shot twice into the air. Tang En watched all this with his own eyes. He had been observing Bic for an hour. Judging from his actions just now, this kid is obviously a little devil with very bad intentions. But it's not absolutely evil, it feels a bit like a naughty child. This is a lack of discipline. Piccolo ran a few more steps, looked at the figure behind him that was no longer visible, and his steps slowly became slower. There is a trace of disdain at the corner of the mouth. Cut. Garbage. Those boring humans. You deserve a beating exclamation. Tang En dug into his pocket and announced Bic's fate. You break other people's things and talk arrogantly. Is this what your father taught you? Okay. Exclamation. Piccolo suddenly became wary when he heard someone appear next to him without warning. Who? Bic turned around and looked. Nobody. Then, a figure suddenly fell from the sky and came into Piccolo's eyes. After Piccolo saw the person clearly, his pupils suddenly shrank and his muscles tensed. What, this guy looks exactly like the guy who killed his father! Run! This was the only thought in Piccolo's mind at this time. Ding ding dang! Piccolo spread his arms and without saying a word, he took off his feet and quickly flew into the distance, disappearing into the dense forest in the blink of an eye. A quarter of an hour later, Piccolo was out of breath as he ran and jumped in the forest with all his strength. Woo tilde. Piccolo looked back and saw that no one was following him. Piccolo's mind calmed down a little. Did I see it wrong? Just no, let's talk about that person. Bic turned around again, only to find Tang En right in front of him. What? Piccolo was suddenly frightened and hurriedly backed away, keeping a certain distance. When is this? Tang En folded his arms at this moment and said to Bic, Little devil, let me see your strength. Little devil. When Piccolo heard this address, he suddenly felt angry, hateful. Immediately, Piccolo revealed his hands that had been hidden behind his back and let out a flash of light. Boom exclamation. These tricks would definitely not frighten Tang En. Tang En just dodged the attack slightly. Then, a hand knife shot out of the smoke and pierced Tang En's throat, like an unsheathed sword! Snapped. Tang En grabbed Bic's wrist accurately. What a cunning brat, not only sneak attack, but also attack so ruthlessly. End of this chapter. Chapter 52 Teleporting to Namek. Chapter 52 Teleportation. Namek. Tang En grabbed Bic's wrist accurately and subdued him with a slight twist. Bic's body was also pressed to the ground. Still too young. At this moment, Tang En kept thinking in his heart. Due to the constant changes in the plot, if Bic is not disciplined to a certain extent, he may not be able to complete the change of personality on his own. Who are you? Why do you want to catch me? Piccolo shouted loudly. What does it mean? Although we have never met, we must know who is who. Snapped exclamation. Tang En slapped Bic hard on the head. Wow, I learned how to act stupid at such a young age. I really admire you. Hateful. When Piccolo saw that the other party had recognized his identity, he felt despair. After struggling several times to no avail, he gave up resistance. Huh? Aren't you going to run away? Tang En asked. Bic squinted at Tang En with disdain on his face, but said nothing. So cool. Then, Tang En noticed Bic's clothes with magic words on them, and felt a little inconsistent tear. Tang En tore off the magic words and stared at Piccolo. How do you feel about it? Piccolo was furious and struggled again. Damn human. I won't let you go. As long as I grow up, I will definitely. Piccolo gritted his teeth and said unwillingly. In his opinion, this human being was definitely afraid of him growing up, so he came to kill him, but he didn't know when he leaked his whereabouts. Oh, what will you be like when you grow up? Tang En let go of Bic's hands and let him get up on his own. Piccolo subconsciously took 2 steps back, stared into Tang En's eyes, gritted his teeth, and kept thinking about his retreat brush exclamation. It was another hand knife, mixed with chaotic punches, attacking Tang En's face. Tang En didn't expect this guy to be so motivated, and he was attacked just as he was distracted. But you are still overestimating your abilities! Exclamation next. Tang En was talking to Bic while dodging the attack. Hey, your father is dead, and you don't have to inherit his so-called dream of world domination or his identity as a demon. That's pretty stupid, isn't it? Piccolo ignored Tang En and just hit Tang En with a glance, which made Tang En a little embarrassed. Boom! Exclamation. Tang En's elbow hit the corner of Piccolo's mouth, sending him flying far away and sinking into a stone! Exclamation. What the hell? Are you listening to me? Are you okay? Tang En asked. Clara. Piccolo climbed out of the pile of rocks. Damn human, how dare you insult a great demon like me? At this time, some blood soaked on Bic's head and he spoke with a hint of breath. And the demons, let's start from this point! Exclamation. The story about me helping bad boys to change their ways! Exclamation. Boom boom! Tang En's hands kept firing small air bombs one after another, and then these air bombs kept hitting Piccolo's body. This continuous blow was not light, and Piccolo grinned in pain. Hateful. I swear. Snapped! Exclamation. An air bomb deflected slightly and hit Piccolo on the head, causing him to fall headfirst into the soil, looking extremely embarrassed. At the same time, Piccolo's voice was of course interrupted and some dirt was stuffed into his mouth. What a shame! Exclamation. I must kill you, Piccolo shouted at the top of his lungs. Forehead! Exclamation. Tang En was startled by the call. Did I go too far in deceiving others? Whoops, okay. Then, Tang En straightened his back, looked at the angry Piccolo, and thought silently. Tang En felt that it was indeed difficult to change Piccolo in a short period of time. Perhaps taking his time would be the best option. Then, just wait and see. Forget it, you will understand sooner or later. Tang En clapped his hands and continued to add: however, if you dare to claim that you are a demon again from now on, I will deal with you every time I hear you. Tang En spoke very slowly to prove that he was serious enough, but HMPH. Piccolo said sarcastically with a look of disdain: nothing can threaten our great demon clan. Tang En, what a headache. That sentence is very good. What boy doesn't hit the 2nd grade apparently? Young Piccolo still can't tell what's real and what's not, and despite having inherited memories, he still has to live his own life. By the way, what did he say just now? Snap! Exclamation. Tang En easily knocked Bic down, and his huge slap made a snapping sound on Bic's butt. Piccolo was stunned. Immediately, Bic's green face burned red with a huge sense of shame! Exclamation. Evil. Suddenly, Piccolo burst out with the greatest strength in his life to struggle. 2 words, no result. After a while, Piccolo finally gave in. But he just continued to remain silent, because he knew that no matter what he said at this moment, he would just humiliate himself. Are you comfortable now? Tang En wiped off his sweat, feeling really tired. Then, for the sake of your submission, I will let you go this time. But if we meet again next time, if you still can't make any progress, I won't be soft on you, Twain said to Bic. At this time, Tang En thought of Sun Wukong, who was becoming stronger rapidly. No matter what, I have to put some pressure on Piccolo. Suddenly, Tang En had another idea in his mind. Do you want to take Piccolo to Namek after he gets older? After all, if the Great Elder personally disciplines him, wouldn't it be easy? Moreover, it's hard to say that the Great Elder even thanked him. Yes, that's it, Tang En nodded. Don't kill me. Piccolo grinned. At this moment, Tang En even thought of Piccolo training Sun Wukong in the original work. This is quite similar to now. Do you want to be regarded as the master? Alas, what on earth am I thinking about? Just when Tang En was thinking about it, Piccolo had long since withdrawn from his dazed expression. Snapped Piccolo stood up, said nothing, and ran away without looking back. Huh. That guy actually let me go. I must make him regret it. The great shame drove Piccolo into madness. He vowed that he would practice hard in the coming time. He, Piccolo, must give the other party an experience that is worse than death. Tang En on the side didn't know what Piccolo was thinking. But even if he knew, he probably wouldn't care too much. Well, wait until you surpass me. As for Tang En, what he is thinking about right now is as for himself. Should he come over once a week to teach him a lesson, or should he come over once a week? Thigh's teleportation has nowhere to go! What a convenience. Okay. Tang En shook his head, gave up his random thoughts, and began to float the idea of going to Namek in his mind. For a moment, brush. It should be fine. When Tang En reacted and opened his eyes, he was indeed in another place. Awkward. What? And Namekian saw Tang En while fetching water and said to himself in surprise, "When did this person come here?" Namekian was puzzled. Ah, this guy does look a lot like Piccolo! This is Tang En's idea. Oh, we're really here, Tang En exclaimed. Tang En looked around. This should be a village. Tang En was a little surprised to appear here. After all, the number of Namekians on this planet was very small. The land was vast and sparsely populated. He thought he would be moved to the suburbs. Well, let's say hello first. Hi, I'm an Earthling from a distant Earth. Can you guide me to meet your great elder? Dun said, waving his hands. The Namekian stared at Tang En carefully and finally answered Tang En slowly, Earth. That's where I've never heard of this place. However, what the great elder said doesn't mean that you can see it when you see it. I have to ask our elders. After saying that, the Namekian put down the bucket and ran towards a house, probably to find their elder. Well, I feel like I'm crazy. Because I posted a recommendation today, I set an alarm for 2 o'clock in the afternoon. Then it's 2 o'clock F5, 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 F5. Finally, after a few minutes, the page was refreshed. Well, there is my book. Go back to sleep, so stupid. Till the end of this chapter. Chapter 53 Potential Development. Chapter 53 Potential Development. The Namekian put down the bucket and ran towards a house, probably to find their elders. Well, Tang En looked around, and sure enough, it felt quite different from Earth. Tang En took a deep breath and felt the breath of the people here. He found that their breath was very peaceful, and even the surrounding air was much fresher. It just feels very peaceful. No wonder they are called a peace-loving race. Oh, so strong, Tang En exclaimed. In this village, there are nearly 10 people with a combat power of more than 1,000, and one even has a combat power of 5,000. After all, this is just an ordinary Namek village, but it is already outstanding even in the universe. In this way, they are indeed a very powerful race. After all, in terms of combat alone, this is not what the Namekians are best at. Are you a human from an alien planet? Came a voice. An old man was surrounded by a group of people and walked over slowly. This should be their elder. Then, I must know why you want to see the great elder. Please tell me your purpose. The elder is straightforward, and he must be aware of that. Tang En was already prepared and said to everyone, My name is Tang En. I am an Earthling. I have no malicious intentions. I just learned about this place through Dragon Ball. Dragon Ball. The elder raised his eyebrows. You actually know about Dragon Balls? Tang En continued, Yes. There are Namekians on our planet too, and they created the Dragon Balls for us. Are there Namekians? A young Namekian questioned. Impossible. I have never heard of Namekians existing on alien planets, let alone such outstanding dragons. After all, even here, there are only a handful of Namekians who can make Dragon Balls. Birdie. Don't be unreasonable. The elder stopped him and continued, Okay, so what's your purpose here? I came to the great elder to develop my potential. Please introduce me to him. Thank you very much. Tang En clasped his hands together and told the truth. The elder pondered for a while and finally felt the friendly aura of the other party, and his expression softened slightly. The elder nodded. Okay, but you have to wait a moment. I still need to ask the great elder what he wants. At this moment, the elder had his eyes closed, as if he was talking to someone else, and there was a faint sound coming out. Take the breasts. Amber is weak. Namekian language. The elder opened his eyes and confirmed again. As you command, great elder. Tang En, the great elder already knows about you. He has agreed to let you go see him. You are welcome, an earthling from afar. The elder smiled, stretched out his hand, and said to Tang En, Huh? Really? Tang En was naturally very happy. He didn't expect it to go so smoothly. Just like that, the elder took Tang En and started to fly to the place where the first elder lived. Here, Tang En did not suggest the use of teleportation. After all, it would be rude to move directly in front of others, especially those who are not familiar with them. After all, it's easy to be alarmed. Come in. An old voice sounded. You can go in. Tang En nodded to the elder and asked, I don't know your name yet. My name is Crackly. Go quickly. Don't keep the great elder waiting. Crackly said to Tang En. Tang En nodded and entered the great elder's room sideways. Subconsciously, Tang En swept around with his breath. There are only 2 people here. After entering, Tang En first saw the bloated elder and then a slightly immature Namekian next to the elder. This guy is very defensive about himself, so he has to be careful. This must be Nelu. His aura is really ridiculously strong. He is definitely the strongest person I have ever seen. In terms of combat strength, he must be at least 10 or 20,000. After all, it was still a long time before Frieza invaded Namek. Nero. The great elder stopped the young man's hostility. The great elder calmed down and said slowly, I can feel that he means no harm. Seeing this, Nailu calmed down his emotions a little, but still guarded the side of the elder. Yes, great elder. The great elder showed a very kind smile. Welcome, earthlings from afar. Tang En walked in a little bit and was inevitably shocked by his size. Ah, great elder, I'm sorry to bother you. The great elder seemed very kind. Somehow, he always felt that this person suited his vision very well. What happened? It is said that there are also Namekians on your Earth. Yes, he should have been sent to Earth 400 years ago. Tang En replied. 400 years ago. So that's it. He should be Kadaz's son. I didn't expect that child to actually reach the Earth alive. A smile appeared on the great elder's face, and he said happily, with some emotion in his words. Is he okay? The great elder asked. Well, how should I put it? After all, the situation is quite complicated. Not very good, Tang En replied. Oh, in order to become our god, he divided himself into 2 persons. Tang En said this, then touched the great elder and passed on the information about the gods and Piccolo. This is a new content he has researched using his mental power, and it is very practical. If you are a great elder, you will definitely know these techniques. For a moment after the great elder digested this information, he sighed. Silly boy, has evil invaded his soul. Because of this, he divided himself into 2 halves. The great elder showed a rare hint of sadness. Thank you, you made up for the big mistake that kid made, otherwise more people would have died. The elder thanked Tang En. It doesn't matter, after all, this is what I should do, and I do it for my own planet. Tang En replied. The great elder looked at Tang En and stretched out his hand. Please come, I can trigger your own potential. Huh? Okay. Tang En was overjoyed and quickly approached the great elder again. I'm ready. The great elder stared at the space in front of him and slowly mobilized his abilities. A huge palm covered Tang En's head, and then, invisible white air waves gradually surged out of Tang En's body. Exclamation for a moment, Tang En felt as if he had lost gravity and was floating in the white airflow. After stopping like this for more than 10 seconds, Tang En kept paying attention to his physical condition to see what had changed. Whoosh! Exclamation. Suddenly, a surging force spurted out of Tang En's body. Click, click. This feeling, Tang En clenched his fist tightly. From the inside out, Tang En felt the liberation of his body. Exclamation. At this moment, a substantial sense of power was transmitted to every part of Tang En himself. So strong, Tang En exclaimed. Okay. Nelu was also surprised, with a trace of sweat dripping from his head. This strength, this guy, in the blink of an eye, has a fighting ability that rivals his own. It's really surprising! Exclamation. Yo West. The corner of Tang En's mouth showed a slight curvature, which felt very comfortable. Tang En secretly estimated his own strength. It must have reached the level of... It was ridiculously easy. Sun, your potential has been developed. A little sweat dripped from the head of the great elder. Has the potential been tapped? Tang En pursed his lips. However, from a distance, this is still far from enough. Well, I didn't get a similar evaluation from the great elder to Sun Wukong. Thank you, great elder, Tang En said with gratitude. Please recommend votes, monthly votes, and tips to help. It's okay to collect data on weekends, which motivates me. End of this chapter. Chapter 54 Reborn. Chapter 54 Reborn. Tang En did not leave after his potential increased. He requested to live here on Namek for a period of time, and the great elder did not refuse. Tang En was also very grateful to the great elder and the others, so he provided the great elder with dozens of fairy beans. After all, fairy beans can replenish physical strength very well, and for the great elder, they can still be useful in many cases. With the great elder's nod, others naturally had no objections. This was actually Tang En's temporary plan, which Tang En only thought of after seeing Nelu. After all, there are not many people in the universe that Tang En knows are on par with him. Neil, who has not yet fully developed, has a strength of nearly, which is just right for him to be his normal opponent. Aha! In the sky, two people collided fiercely, and there were waves of sound barriers and roars. What? Nelu dodged a round ball of light and hit Tang En, who was caught off guard, in the face. Boom! The explosion sounded, and Tang En kept his hands crossed in front of his chest and was knocked back dozens of meters away. Tang En looked again, and Neil had disappeared from his sight. Snapped! Exclamation. Nelu suddenly appeared behind Tang En, raised his leg, and kicked to the side. The speed was as fast as a sharp blade! Exclamation. Tang En was the first to sense the crisis. He moved forward a few steps and then attacked Nelu with a side kick. Boom! Exclamation. The two attacks intersect. The air was shaken and rippled, and loud sounds were heard in the sky from time to time, causing some Nankians to stop and watch. So strong, two people. Aha! The two people separated, and then each sent a kigong forward. Boom! Exclamation. Taking advantage of the aftermath of the collision, the two men rushed into the smoke and wrestled. Nelu and Tang En descended to the ground, and the powerful force plunged them into the depths of the earth. The two of them clasped each other's fingers tightly, and their powerful aura made the surrounding stones rise. What? Nelu knelt on the ground with one knee, gathering his own strength. Tang En took advantage of the victory to pursue, and continued to press Nelu down. In the past, the strength of the two was almost equal. Nelu raised his head slightly and smiled. Thighs made Tang En a little panicked. I can finally beat you once, Nelu said. Aha! Nelu raised his head and hit Tang En hard on the chest with his head, knocking Tang En away 100 meters and sinking into the inside of the stone. Cough, cough. Tang En was injured now and his head was buzzing. What a hard head! When Tang En recovered a bit, Neil had already reached in front of him and stretched out his palm. Tang En smiled, took Neilu's hand, and stood up using his strength. He is indeed the most powerful Nankian. He has made so much progress in just 1 year. Tang En expressed his sincere admiration. In a blink of an eye, it has been a year since he came here. Of course, every once in a while he goes back to Earth. In this way, everyone on Namek knew that he could teleport, but it didn't matter. Sure enough, in this year, Tang En's strength has hardly improved, whether it is normal strength or the practice of Tiantian Fist. On the contrary, he helped Neilu break through step by step. At this time, he already had a strength of... This made Tang En a little frustrated. Is it only to this extent? No, if he activates the God Fist, he can easily increase his combat power to more than, but that's all. Don't be depressed. I wasn't so lacking in fighting spirit when I was defeated by you, Neilu said. The two were still very happy getting along with each other this year. Okay. Tang En nodded. When he first fought against Neilu, the opponent was indeed no match for him. But if he used the God Fist now, he probably wouldn't be his opponent yet. Tang En did not defend himself. He was already a friend of the Nankians. It is worth mentioning that in the 3rd month after Tang En arrived on Namek, a rare group of space pirates came to the planet and wanted to loot the planet. But the results are obvious. An advanced planet like Namek cannot be solved by a small group. Tang En took care of them all by himself, which earned him the gratitude of the Nankians. Although those Nankians are not afraid of them at all. Nourishes, thank you, Elder, Tang En said to Cleckley. Nowadays, Tang En lives in the village of Cleckley. Just now, it was this elder who was healing his injuries. Tang En estimated that Dandy might not have been born yet at this time. Tang En sat on a stone and thought. It was almost time for him to leave. It had been a year, and it was time for him to find a new path. Don En, the elders shouted. I'm here. Tang En turned around and said. Cleckley came over and said to Tang En, Twain, the great elder wants to invite you to visit him. Looking for yourself? Well, I don't know what happened. Tang En nodded and said goodbye to the elder briefly. Teleport. When he appeared again, he was already outside the Great Elder's house. Great Elder, Tang En is here, Neilu said. The Great Elder nodded and then Tang En walked into the room. Great Elder. Tang En greeted. The Great Elder responded. Child, what are your plans in the future? What do you plan to do? Of course. Tang En replied. Great Elder, I should continue to look for ways to become stronger. The Great Elder seems to have some strange abilities and can predict some things. Are you leaving here? Tang En nodded, unable to comment. Neilu hesitated to speak, but finally said nothing. The Great Elder smiled kindly and said, My child, you are a kind person, I can feel it. Well, we do you say this suddenly quite weird. But of course, I, Tang En, am determined to become a charming person! Come here. The Great Elder waved. Tang En took a few steps forward after hearing this. Yes. The Great Elder seemed to be listening to something with great enjoyment. You still have power hidden in your body, right? Tang En's expression changed, and he looked at the Great Elder with some surprise. Chinese letter is this talking about the God Fist, but I've never used this trick before. Hidden power is this talking about Tang En this guy. Neilu was a little surprised. After all, in his belief, the Great Elder would not lie. Twain, wasn't your full strength before? Neil asked. Tang En did not refute, but first asked the Great Elder: Great Elder, how did you know? The Great Elder did not answer at first, but said again, My child, let me see your true strength. Tang En could only nod his head and subconsciously started to use the God Fist brush. A change from the inside out occurred. A trace of sweat flowed from Neilu's head, and there was such a strong sense of oppression. After holding on for a while, Tang En finally stopped. That's it, Great Elder. Okay. The Great Elder was even happier. Child, come here and I will increase this power for you. Tang En was very surprised. Hasn't his potential been developed? Could it be that a sudden surprise occurred? There was no need for the Great Elder to harm him, so of course Tang En chose to believe it. In the same situation, the Great Elder placed his palm on Tang En's head and the white light slowly appeared again. This time Tang En felt completely different. Last time he felt as if he was weightless, but this time he just felt something moving around inside his body. Sun, unleash your power. Oh, that's great. Tang En performed the God Fist. Soon, bursts of divine factors emerged. After so many years of training, the divine factors in Tang En's body were already very large. Scylla. Suddenly, a strange feeling emerged. What's this good? Refreshing exclamation, carefree exclamation. Tang En seemed to hear the breathing of the cells in his body. They were sucking in something. Tang En tried his best not to shout. He could feel his body undergoing transformation. The strong stimulation gave Tang En a huge sense of surprise. Tang En could feel the divine factors all over his body gradually integrating into his body. Breath is shrinking exclamation. An indescribable experience appeared in Tang En's consciousness. Everyone, the investment income of the second wave of daily updates of 3,000 words is expected to arrive in the next 2 days. Friends who have not invested yet can invest and reap it. Thank you again for your support. End of this chapter. Chapter 55 1 times the God Fist. Chapter 55 100 times the Divine Fist. For a time, a lot of sweat flowed from the Great Elder's head. Ahem, cough, cough, it's too powerful. It's so powerful. The Great Elder let go of Tang En. Big Elder. Ni Lu took out a celestial bean and quickly fed it to the Elder to recover his exhausted physical strength. Over the past year, they have long been familiar with the efficacy of fairy beans. Child, do you know? Your power is the power of God. The Great Elder said God a god or a Kaishin. Tang En nodded. He is not a fool. This result has long been in his mind. After all, it was obtained from the first generation god of the temple, and it had been so long. Tang En felt that he had guessed everything. Actually, I've noticed it since the first time you used that teleportation. After all, that is a skill that only the legendary high-level gods possess, and it is absolutely impossible for ordinary people to master it. The Great Elder explained. Tang En suddenly realized, so, Tiantian Fist is really a martial art that can make mortals become gods. Surprise came too quickly. Tang En felt his own power at this time, and the divine factor had already filled Tang En's body. Mutation occurs. The powerful strength that was about to emerge made Tang En feel that there was nothing in the world that he couldn't do. This feeling exclamation really too strong. Too strong. It's completely different exclamation. Tang En felt as if the Tiantian Fist had really been developed to its limit, and his body was soaked in divine factors. Millions of fighting power exclamation. This is outrageous exclamation. Tang En is ecstatic exclamation. I didn't expect to have such a big harvest on planet Namek this time. The only fly in the ointment is that Tang En's normal strength still shows no signs of growth. This made Tang En inevitably have wild thoughts. How could he increase his power by so much? Tang En was extremely curious exclamation. Tang En discovered that the current Tiantian Fist seemed to have become a state. Could this be a powerful martial art that changed his own foundation? I just don't know who can create such a powerful martial art. In comparison, Kaioken is simply inferior. I'm afraid, at least at the angel level. Tang En guessed so. Thank you, Great Elder. I feel stronger than ever before. Tang En thanked him quickly. The Great Elder smiled and said to Tang En, by the way, I feel the instinctive intimacy from your breath, child. Feeling of intimacy. When Tang En heard this, he suddenly reacted like at the beginning. The god of the earth also said that he felt an inexplicable sense of intimacy when he was operating the God Fist, right? This made Tang En think deeply. Could it be well? Tang En tried his best to think in profound places at this moment. After all, Tang En has full confidence in Tianqian Fist at this time. By the way, the Nankians are said to be the descendants of the dragon clan. The ancestors seem to be related to the dragon god, right? At least it has great correlation with Shenlong. Tang En used his brain's knowledge capacity to imagine if the creator of Tianqian Fist was dragon god, then the situation is so beautiful Tang En couldn't imagine it. After all, this was a boss who was more mysterious than the entire king. But why is it called Tianqian Fist? And it was obtained from the first generation of gods on Earth. Tang En finally began to have the idea of knowing all the connections. These thoughts suddenly appeared in Tang En's mind. By the way, the mysterious Great Elder is by his side. Of course Tang En wants to ask Great Elder, has my heavenly god fist reached its limit? This. The Great Elder smiled. How can I know something that you don't even know yourself? The Great Elder replied again. However, as long as you always maintain the desire to become stronger, martial arts will never have an end, including any race. The Great Elder knew that Tang En had been working hard to break through the limitations of his own race, so he specially emphasized this point. Tang En was convinced. Isn't this what he has always believed? The boat will naturally go straight when it reaches the bridge. Tang En doesn't believe that he can't find a way to reach the sky despite having so many innate advantages. Well, in that case, I'll prove it to myself. Tang En once again expressed his gratitude to the Great Elder. Then, Tang En also looked at Neilu and said goodbye. He was now preparing to leave here and return to the Earth. What an unexpected gain. Teleport. Tang En is already familiar with this operation. He has traveled between Earth and planet Namek at least 10 times in the past year. Great Northern Forest. Tang En appeared on a tree here, looking at Piccolo below. For so long, he would take a look at the sky every time he came back. Send him to Namek to practice for a period of time? Tang En had already had this idea. Although the current strength of Piccolo and Sun Wukong is not much different, Sun Wukong will soon complete the practice of breath, and then with the help of the gravity chamber, he will definitely improve rapidly. Tang En nodded, thinking this idea was a good one. It not only allows Piccolo to recognize his identity, but also resolves the conflicts between the two. It can also improve Piccolo's strength, killing 3 birds with 1 stone. At this time, the ignorant Piccolo lit up the fire, folded his arms and closed his eyes to meditate. At a young age, he had an air of being aloof from strangers. I'm back, Tang En shouted to the bottom. Conditioned reflex. Piccolo suddenly trembled, gritted his teeth and stood up, his heart filled with despair! Hateful! I have already hidden my breath. Why can you still find me? Piccolo's year can be described as ill-fated and extremely difficult! In order to avoid Tang En's beating, he exercised desperately, just to be able to kill this hateful human being one day. This has almost become his obsession! But Tang En is no longer afraid of him. Nowadays, unless Piccolo merges with the god, it will be difficult for this guy to defeat him, let alone kill him. His teleportation was the first to refuse. Hey, you've learned how to hide your aura, isn't that bad? Unfortunately, his teleportation does not require the element of breath. He only needs to locate a certain person or place. Piccolo didn't speak, and silence became his last stubbornness. Over the past year, he had already guessed many things. HMPH. You don't dare to kill me at all. It must be that old god who sent you here. You want me to change my ways? Hypocrisy. Piccolo sighed and said unruly. Tang En nodded. You are only half right, but it is also remarkable. As long as I die, that old guy will die too. What can you do to me? Piccolo seemed to have found Tang En's weakness, and said frantically. Snapped! A gust of palm wind struck. Suddenly, the stone in the distance cracked, and Piccolo sank deeply. He's used to it. Tang En clapped his hands, unable to bear the self-righteousness of this little guy. I never really wanted to kill you. Piccolo stood up and continued to sneer. Are you angry out of shame? Do hypocritical humans want to get close to me, a great demon clan, and assimilate me? This sentence is quite right. Tang En responded. Whatever you think, I have already said that you and your father are two lives, and you do not need to inherit his boring will. Boring? There must be a limit to insulting people. Piccolo took a few steps forward gloomily. Whatever you think, I'm not here to teach you a lesson this time. Come with me, time will tell you the truth. Tang En instantly moved in front of Piccolo and pulled his wrist. Let me go. Bic struggled. Damn, you are so stubborn. Boom! Exclamation. Piccolo fell to the ground. Finally Tang En lifted Piccolo and looked for the location of Namek brush outside the Great Elder's room. Octwain, didn't you just leave? Why are you back again? Nelu said. I suddenly thought of something, look. Tang En put Bic down. Mamikian's never seen before. Oh, that's right. Is he the big devil Piccolo on Earth? Why is he so young? Nelu looked at the Namekian who was smaller than him below and asked Tang En. The great demon King Piccolo has been eliminated. This is his son, but his father wants him to inherit his will. Tang En continued. Originally I wanted to guide him through education, but obviously this is not my area of expertise. Tang En shrugged and said frustrated. After his instruction, Piccolo successfully aroused the intention to kill him. Depressed. That's it, I'll leave him to you guys. I'll come pick him up in 2 years. Tang En added. Okay, I'll tell the Great Elder right now. Nelu responded. I'm stupid. Please use starting coins to wake me up. End of this chapter. Chapter 56 Global Travel, the Great Secret Treasure of the Island. Chapter 56 Global Travel, the Great Secret Treasure of the Island. Tang En used teleportation to leave Namek again and return to Earth. Magnum Group. The tower is so big. Tang En pushed the door open and entered the bedroom, but did not see Bulma. Not hearing and checked the time. Bulma is probably working in the laboratory now, and he doesn't know what he is busy with. Go find it! Tang En is on vacation today, so he doesn't plan to continue practicing. Master Tang En. Pilaf's trio each took a wrench, stood at attention and bowed to Tang En. The 3 of them just stopped here, and an inexplicable sense of joy came. Tang En couldn't help laughing. These 3 people were his helpers for Bulma, and they seemed to be doing well. Take a breath. Tang En felt happy and said to the 3 people, Hi. The 3 of them were really cooperative. Tang En smiled and nodded and walked into the laboratory. Phew! So close! Bang! Pilaf immediately jumped up and knocked Ash's brains out, and shouted in a suppressed voice, You were so loud just now, you idiot! If that Tang En finds out about our plan, he will definitely detain us here forever. Ting Pilaf looked crying, like a wronged little daughter-in-law. Ooh, yes. King Pilaf. Axiu quickly admitted his mistake. But do we really want to leave here? Ashi said, covering his head. I have free food and housing every day, and I can also receive wages. Food house wages. King Pilaf was obviously stunned, with a trace of drool dripping from the corner of his mouth. A hateful state! After reacting, Pilaf jumped up and hit Ash on the head again. Hey! Are you blocking my determination to rule the world? Ash looked panicked. How dare you, little one? HMPH. I wouldn't even dare to measure you, Pilaf said confidently. Then, King Pilaf looked at Ash, who had a big smoking bump on his head, turned around and said HMPH, for the sake of your loyalty to this great king, I will definitely not treat you badly when I get those treasures and make a comeback. I will definitely rely on my own efforts so that you can eat roasted sweet potatoes every day and never be hungry again. King Pilaf looks forward to a bright future. Wow. A burst of little stars flashed in front of Ashiu's eyes as expected of King Pilaf. Long live King Pilaf. Snort! Of course! Pilaf's vanity was greatly satisfied. A burst of data appeared on the tester's screen, with the values jumping rapidly. 10,000 points, 10,000 points. Tang En, you really did it. Bulma happily handed the test results to Tang En. This was a new detector made by Tang En. The detection limit was only 10,000 points, so it only displayed so much. After all, Tang En didn't expect that he would improve so much. Of course, I spent so much effort on this. 10,000 points. Bulma grabbed Tang En's arm freshly and asked curiously, "Hey, Tang En, have you really reached the point where you can destroy the earth now?" Tang En picked up his own exclusive sunglasses and put them on proudly. "Not a problem. Hee hee. Worship me to your heart's content." Tang En was excitedly waiting for Bulma's praise. Sudden exclamation, boom exclamation, hey, it hurts. What are you doing? Tang En squatted on the ground and covered his head, shouting to Bulma. Bulma looked at her fist and said arrogantly, "Huh? I thought you were really omnipotent. Aren't you unable to avoid my sneak attacks?" Tang En, of course, even I can't be vigilant all the time. Tang En was a little depressed and immediately took off his sunglasses. "What a nasty bad woman exclamation, hey!" Bulma shouted, crossing her arms. "Okay. What happened? What's wrong? How can you ask me?" "Did I ask? You have it." Tang En looked at Bulma blankly, which made Bulma a little annoyed. Futile exclamation, not angry, Bulma said again, "Did you forget something? Is there anything?" Tang En scratched his head and asked curiously, "How could you forget?" Bulma put her hands on her hips and pointed at Tang En angrily. "Oh, I remembered." Tang En suddenly realized. "I remember at snort. You still have a conscience." Bulma was slightly relieved. "I forgot to practice today, but I did it on purpose, haha." Tang En laughed heartily. Clack clack. Bulma's face turned gloomy and she clenched her fists tightly. "Dawn." "Well." Tang En felt a murderous aura coming exclamation, ouch exclamation, "Oh my god. It's so scary!" exclamation. Tang En quickly stopped pretending to be stupid and raised his hands to surrender. Okay, I was wrong. I was teasing you just now." Tang En hugged Bulma and said. Futile exclamation. Bulma pressed against Tang En and panted heavily. "Then what exactly happened?" Bulma gave Tang En another chance. Tang En lowered his head and kissed Bulma's forehead gently. "I really do remember," Tang En said softly. "I will always remember our agreement. I once promised you that when my combat power exceeds 10,000, I will accompany you to travel around the world, and now I am here. I will only accompany you during this time." Bulma was indeed moved, with a trace of tears in her eyes. Alas, what a fool who is immersed in love. "Well, then where are we going?" Bulma said softly, leaning against Tang En. "That is of course hahaha." Tang En's smile suddenly solidified. How about we ask the global travel app?" Boom exclamation, ping ping pong. Woohoo hoo 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 exclamation. After a while, outside the room. "Report to the king. There is something new." Ashu ran up to Pilaf and said loudly, "Our plan to find the treasure is in place." "What? Say it." Pilaf stood up, wiped his sweat, and patted Ash on the shoulder excitedly. "Well done, Ash exclamation. When I went to the next room to look for tools, I happened to hear that Master Tang En and the others were going on a trip." "Oh. So what?" "Your Majesty, think about it. The place where the treasure is hidden is full of dangers. Why don't you let Master Tang En take us there?" "What? You want me to give the treasure map to someone else?" Pilaf looked ferocious exclamation. "What treasure map?" Tang En asked. "None of your business. And wow." Pilaf and Ash were frightened by Tang En's sudden voice and ran around with their hands raised, and finally bumped into each other exclamation, "Two silly kids." Tang En picked up the drawing that fell from Pilaf and asked, "This is it?" "It's not this. It's this." The two gave different answers. Pilaf hurriedly retorted, "This is definitely not the treasure map that can find treasures." Dun was stunned. Then, Tang En moved his eyes to the drawing. The location marked on it was in the sea, as if it was on some island. It's kind of fun! Bulma didn't want an ordinary trip. After all, for a genius like him, traveling to various cities in the world was really a stupid decision. Okay, let's go here. Tang En decided on the first stop of the trip. Woo woo woo. King Pilaf wanted to cry, but could only nod his head in agreement. Tang En was very happy. This had helped him solve a big problem. It was in line with Bulma's character to have adventures while traveling. As for the danger, Tang En just smiled. There should be no place on this earth where he could not escape. Just leave. As soon as Tang En decided on the travel location, he immediately asked Kapeki to help him and Bulma prepare various travel facilities. Bulma also bought a small cruise ship as a means of transportation. What an inhumane rich man! The Pilaf trio cried to death and asked the two to take them there. Considering that the treasure map was originally theirs, Tang En also agreed to their request. After all, including the three of them and Kapeki, it only occupied a small amount of space on the cruise ship. Let's go, Pilaf. Pilaf stood on the deck and shouted out the title he named the ship. This will be the first step in my new journey. Long live King Pilaf. The three people stood on the deck and took a victory pose together. Do you have any suitable fan art? You can give the character a poster or something. Please recommend and reward. End of this chapter. Chapter 57 Passionate Villagers. Chapter 57 Passionate Villagers. The cruise ship departs from the estuary and aims directly at a small island in the northern ocean of the Earth. Rumbling, the cruise ship accidentally entered the reef group during the voyage. Fortunately, it was discovered early and the ship was not damaged. As soon as Tang En used his Keggong, the seawater evaporated and was quickly replenished by seawater from other places. But the reef has completely disappeared. Exclamation the he explosion caused a wave of waves. Gotcha, we eat fish today. Asu picked up a sea fish as tall as himself from the boat and said excitedly to everyone, "Great!" As expected, the outdoor dining experience tripled the food bonus. During the meal, Tang En unexpectedly felt that the tuna was even more delicious than what he had eaten before. Tang En's originally boring day became a little more interesting because of this little episode. After another half a day, thanks to Kapeki's positioning, everyone finally arrived at the island. Hilly Island South. This is the name of the island, which is also strange. After all, it is clearly in the north of the earth. Wow, treasure, here I come, Pilaf said excitedly. Finally landed. Tang En had been playing flying chess with Bulma for the past half day, and then slept the rest of the time. He was very happy when he learned that he had arrived at his destination. After stretching, Bulma jumped out of the cabin and landed on land. At this moment, her upper body was changed into a hooded sweatshirt, a high-tech product that can maintain her body temperature in cold places, and her lower body was a pair of casual jeans. Unlike Tang En, although it was almost evening, Bulma was in high spirits and full of fighting spirit. Okay, let's go find the treasure. In order to resist the cold, Pilaf's clothes almost wrapped him into a ball, but he was still very interested. With the treasure, I no longer have to work for others. Oh no. I can start my plan to rule the world again. Pilaf thought to himself. A ha 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 exclamation. I, King Pilaf, indeed have a bright future exclamation. Tang En responded to Bulma calmly. Ah, treasure. If he had known earlier, he would have suggested collecting Dragon Balls, so that he could still expect the result. After all, he doesn't look like someone who is short of money. How can treasure be as fragrant as soft rice? Cough cough cough. The 5 people got off the cruise ship, and Kapeki quickly put it back into the universal capsule and followed the 5 people. Do people still live in this kind of place? It's really puzzling. A village appeared in front of Tang En's eyes. Tang En complained, how could there be any treasure hidden under the eyes of people? Besides, it was so cold here. What an illogical world. Great. There is someone here. Let's go ask for news about the treasure. Ashiu said. Idiot. How can you say such a thing? We have to secretly take out the treasure, you know. Pilaf scolded Ash fiercely high. Have the treasure been taken away by them? Xiao Wu asked. Impossible. Absolutely impossible. Pilaf dismissed the idea completely. But he didn't say why it was impossible at this moment. Tang En and Bulma had already walked into the village. Hey. Hello. Do you have any news about the treasure here? Bulma took out the treasure map and asked them. Oh my god! Sure enough, I asked directly! A few drops of sweat fell from the villager's head. He was stunned for a moment, and then responded: Are you brave men from afar who want to challenge the secret treasure of the deep sea? I will notify our village chief immediately. Please come with me. Tang En and Bulma looked at each other and followed. The Pilaf trio quickly followed up and luckily said, Is he taking us to get the treasure? No matter what nonsense you say, how can you possibly get a treasure for free? Then why do they know about the treasure? Yes, King Pilaf, didn't you say that you are the only one who owns this treasure map? The three of them followed Tang En and Bulma closely. The environment here was so gloomy that the three of them were a little panicked. This one Pilaf hesitated. Soon, there was movement in the village house. It's been 300 years, and finally a warrior is going to save our village. A trembling old man came out of the room and said to Tang En and others. Who is this old thing? We are here to find the treasure. We are not here to solve your troubles. If you know what's going on, tell us the location of the treasure. Pilaf smiled and said with his head held high. That's right. Ash said. Long life King Pilaf. The two men responded. Seeing this, the old man was very happy, without any trace of unhappiness, so he continued: My lord, you don't know something. The mission of our village is to guide people from all over the world to challenge our treasures. Pilaf was overjoyed. Really? Ha ha ha. I, King Pilaf, will take action and it will be done. Pilaf danced and started to cheer himself up. Our village has been cursed, and we must help the brave get the treasure to resolve it. But it takes a difficult trial to get the treasure. We don't know how many years we have been trapped here. Then you are lucky. The person standing in front of you is me, King Pilaf. The little man pinched his waist, and it really looked like a ball from a distance. Really, Master Tang En? Pilaf rubbed his palms to please. Are you kidding me? The person next to me, King Pilaf, is the god of martial arts who can defeat the great demon King Piccolo! Pilaf began to rejoice at Azu's decision and brought Tang En back. What a stinky guy. Bulma made a face and said sarcastically to Pilaf. Bulma actually has little interest in treasures, she is just more interested in the process. After learning that someone was leading them to find the treasure, she felt relieved and prepared to take a rest first. After all, it was getting late. Warriors, let's set off first. We must first pass through the ferocious wolf area, and then what's the evil bad wolf Yudong? Pilaf swallowed. Ha ha ha. Can we go again tomorrow? The old village head was obviously taken aback. I am not scared. I'm just tired and want to rest. Right? Miss Bulma must be tired too, right? Pilaf looked at Bulma for help. Bulma happened to want to stay in the village for one night, so she just snorted and agreed with Pilaf's opinion. Okay. The old man had no choice but to agree and tell everyone that they would start collecting treasures early tomorrow morning. Soon, the village chief arranged for the villagers to bring warm water, food, and drinks for everyone to bathe and eat. Everyone, hurry up and eat. Fresh ingredients will taste better, the old village chief said. Everyone immediately became interested. After all, although they brought food, it would definitely not be as delicious as the freshly cooked food. I'm starting. Tang En checked it first and found that it was not poisonous. Tang En felt that he was worrying too much. Maybe this is the characteristic of the Dragon Ball world. Treasures given away, enthusiastic villagers. Tang En suddenly felt that this experience was quite interesting. These characters look very much like the NPCs in the game. After having enough wine and food, the 5 of them fell asleep after taking a shower, leaving KP to guard silently called up. The night wind is eerie. What are the backgrounds of these people? You are taking advantage of them, asked a person under the dark shadow. Who knows? You damn thing, after eating so much food, I will make you vomit it out with profit tomorrow. A monster with a hooked nose showed his body and said viciously, "Thanks to the book friend, you look so beautiful when you smile. I rewarded you with $1 tilde Chinese letter Chinese letter Chinese letter." End of this chapter. Chapter 58. Chapter 58. The next day. It was just dawn. If you're 5, you'll hit each other with a mascarpone tilde. If you're 5, you'll hit each other with a mascarpone tilde 5 and smash each other. One piece of the 3 of them stood in front of Tang En's door and kept shouting. Well, what are they doing? Bulma said sleepily. Tang En scratched his hair. 3 energetic guys. Must be, can't wait to find the treasure. Creak. Tang En opened the door. Good morning tilde. Tang En greeted the 3 people. Master Tang En. The 3 people immediately bent down and bowed. The 3 of them made up their minds that nothing could be done within 10 meters of Tang En today. Yes, that's it. Tilde. Wait a moment. Tang En closed the door and washed up exclamation after half an hour. Well tilde, it's surprisingly quiet here at night. I really had a good sleep. Bulma stretched and took a deep breath. It would be the best thing for you warriors to have a good night's sleep. The old village chief bowed deeply. Let's go. I, King Pilaf, can't wait, the dwarf said excitedly. Next, several people simply ate breakfast. During this period, 3 more young villagers appeared behind the old village chief. The expressions of the 3 people were a little dull and looked strange. But since they were not very familiar with each other, Bulma did not ask any more questions and just complained to Tang En naughtily: "Hey tilde, they seem to be Kabaki's relatives." "Ha ha ha, maybe. May I lead the way for the warriors?" the old village chief asked. Set off. Just like that, the journey begins. A group of people turned around and walked into a hill full of trees. Judging from the terrain, it was unmistakable that they had been going up the mountain. Although it is daytime, the forest is still very dark, and sometimes there are a few wolf howls. We are so lucky that we didn't encounter any attacks from hungry wolves, the old village chief said happily to Tang En and others. After this forest, there is the place where the real treasure is hidden. We can only send you there. Wow tilde Pilaf and the 3 of them opened their mouths in surprise even when they saw a relatively tall tree. At the same time, the 3 Pilafs also connected the 3 of them with ropes. According to them, this would make them more powerful. In fact, it just adds some sense of security. Why are such roads still preserved here? Doesn't it mean that no one has come to challenge the treasure for 300 years? Bulma asked curiously. This. Oh, in order to provide convenience for the warriors who come here, we will clear obstacles on the road regularly. The old village chief smiled and said to several people. Bulma nodded thoughtfully, without delving into it. Awa! Exclamation swipe. A particularly close wolf howl attracted everyone's attention. Exclamation before anyone could react. A villager was snatched away by a ferocious wolf. Ah! Help! Sigil! The old village chief cried out sadly. The hungry wolf didn't even look back. He turned around and left here. The speed is shocking. Everyone was startled and leaned closely together. Even Bulma subconsciously grabbed Tang En's clothes. What is it? Too horrible. The villager screamed and was pushed deep into the jungle by the evil wolf, and his voice slowly disappeared. Everyone was stunned for 2 seconds. However, Tang En suddenly seemed to understand. He'd never felt right before. But Tang En didn't know what was wrong. And Tang En just assumed that there was nothing that could threaten him, so he didn't pursue it. But this time the situation was beyond his expectation. The hungry wolf suddenly appeared, even he couldn't feel it, which made people furious. When did a wolf hide his aura? How weird. What's even more strange is that after the wolf left, his aura suddenly disappeared again, which made Tang En particularly puzzled. A master's judgment is often instantaneous. In fact, Tang En wanted to save the villagers when they were snatched away by wolves, but Tang En did not do so. In an instant, Tang En observed the expressions of the villagers. The expressions of the three remained unchanged, as if they knew what was going to happen. This is too embarrassing. After all, even Tang En was startled by the sudden appearance of the wolf. Looking at it this way, the old village chief's wailing seemed to be fake, but Bulma and the others were really frightened at the time and didn't pay attention. To an outsider, this scene seems unnatural. The more Tang En thought about it, the more he was right. The villager who was dragged away didn't seem to be struggling much, he just screamed. Isn't this the legendary black-eating black pirates who came to search for treasure lost their lives after being tricked by another group of people? Looking at it this way, it all makes sense. Bulma was right. How could there be a road preserved in a place where no one has been for 300 years? And just after Bulma raised the question, wolves came to attack. Could it be to avoid these topics? The end of all problems lies in the so-called treasure hiding place. They went through all kinds of troubles to deceive themselves and others, which means there must be something waiting for them there. Which way to drink too much? So that's the case. Quick. Take advantage of this opportunity and get out of the forest quickly. Don't let Sigil's sacrifice be in vain. The old village chief shouted and led everyone towards the exit. Good. Good. The three of them couldn't wait any longer, and they couldn't wait to pull Tang En forward. Tang En did not reveal his thoughts. He wanted to see what tricks these people were playing. Sure enough, everything went smoothly on the road afterwards, and everyone walked out of the woods in just half an hour, which made everyone feel lucky. This is great. My journey of conquest, King Pilaf, is about to begin. Pilaf clenched his fist and thought to himself. I don't know how he manages to be full of fighting spirit and timid at the same time. Suddenly, a ruined castle appeared in front of everyone. From this point of view, it seems to be consistent with the statement that no one has been here for 300 to 400 years. As people walked in, some bones appeared on the ground. Tang En's expression was ambiguous, because at this moment, a demonic energy appeared on the body of the village chief and other villagers. Tang En can still identify this kind of thing. So what does this mean? Tang En looked at several villagers thoughtfully. Then, Tang En recalled the memories he got from Shenlong. It should be like this after the demons were repelled and sealed by the second-generation god. The barrier between the human world and the demons was sealed again. Demons from outside cannot enter the human world, and similarly, demons from the human world cannot return to the demon world. Over time, the remaining demons that lost their roots were gradually eliminated by humans. However, the sealing technique also has shortcomings. For example, there will be a burst of cracks in it every once in a while. Although it will heal through its own mechanism later, it still cannot avoid the leakage of magic energy. Tang En guessed that the birth of Big Devil Piccolo was somewhat related to this incident. What? A scream rang out. It turned out that Pilaf had stepped on a section of his arm, and the flesh and blood on it had not completely dried. What the hell is this place? King Pilaf jumped directly onto Keiki's shoulder and hung himself on it. Xiao Wu and Azu also had pale faces, completely losing their high spirits just now. Mom, how come so many people died? Ashu said tremblingly. It seems like these people have been dead for 300 years. Bulma said suspiciously. Keiki carefully picked up the bone with the minced meat and scanned the bone with his eyes. Hey, why do you have to squat down to get something like this? Pilaf jumped down and hugged Azu and Xiao Wu tightly. Doctor, this person died less than half a year ago. Keiki said slowly. Oh, like this. Tang En put his head on his arm and murmured. Huh? What's the matter? Bulma looked at Tang En, and there was a trace of evil in Tang En's eyes at this moment. A gust of wind blew by, and the scene suddenly became even weirder. The old village chief who led the way also turned his back to the crowd, and his smile gradually became evil. Hey, hey, my power's finally back. The old village chief clenched his fists, his face was ferocious, his hooked nose popped out, and he turned into a living monster. Ah, ghost! Bulma yelled and threw the stone in her hand. Snapped exclamation Kai Kai. The old village chief easily caught the stone and crushed it into powder exclamation Jai Jai. The old monster grinned and smiled sinisterly at several people. Well, he didn't know at all that the outcome of the matter was already doomed at this moment when he laughed loudly. End of this chapter. Chapter 59 Destructive Strength. Chapter 59 Destructive Strength. Then, a strange sound sounded click behind them. The remaining two villagers began to absorb the faint demonic energy around them and began to change their appearance. The bones of several people were crackling, and slowly, everyone's faces finally had such various expressions. But this makes it even more magical. The bodies of people on Earth are really troublesome. They have to walk here every time to get rid of that weak state. The tall villager twisted his neck, stretched all his muscles, and said dissatisfied, "Ah." The three pilafs were already so frightened that they could not speak, and they all hid behind Katie. Master Tang En. They are monsters. They are monsters. Ah, I'm watching, Tang En said slowly. Then, Tang En turned around and said to several monsters, "Do you usually borrow the body of an Earthling and then recover your strength through the leaked demonic energy?" I don't know what method was used. The old village chief was slightly surprised. Oh, you also know about demons. You have a lot of experience. The old village chief licked his mouth, revealing his blackened teeth. He thought for a while, and then went on to add haha, of all the people I've eaten over the years. Tang En looked calm and clenched his fists tightly, with deep disgust rising in his heart. It's so ugly exclamation ha tilde. Don't worry, because you know our great demons, I will be the last to eat you. Take it as a grace to you. The old village chief said arrogantly. What exclamation Tang En couldn't help laughing. Just relying on you, a scumbag with more than 100 combat power. 100 combat power? The old village chief was stunned, obviously not understanding what this sentence meant. But the other party's sarcasm can still be heard. Haha. Young man, you have your time to be a hero. Don't make me angry. The old monster seemed to enjoy the fear of others, and he couldn't stop his mouth. Just like that guy 3 years ago, he was also very tough talking at the beginning, and he was as young as you, but he didn't have a little girl by his side. Do you want to know how he died? Hey, I'll cut his flesh a little bit. Tang En didn't know how to describe his mood at the moment. Unexpectedly, the devil who is said to kill without blinking an eye was really met by him. He really almost regarded the Dragon Ball world as a daily world before the three of them, Pilaf, were frightened to tears by the appearance and words of this monster. Hey, why are you so proud of killing someone? Do you still want to say it? Bulma's eyes widened. This ugly old man is really disgusting. Oh. The old monster's words were interrupted by Bulma, but he just licked his tongue strangely. Oh my. It's such a pity, female human bodies are so rare here. He originally didn't want to destroy it. After all, a female body is more confusing to outsiders. But it doesn't matter anymore. He now decided to destroy her cruelly, using the method he had recently developed. It must be interesting, right? The old monster grinded his teeth and said angrily, "Okay, I've decided that I'm going to give you your ha." Tang En sneered in his heart. Well, it's not a pity for you to die exclamation thinking of the fact that many people were brutally killed by him. Tang En really wanted to scold him at this moment, otherwise he wouldn't let it go exclamation shut up. A group of abandoned dogs will never leave this wild place until they die. How dare a guy who has only dared to hide in human skin all his life to yell here? Hook-nosed body trembled. Quiet this time. The words of the old monster were interrupted again. However, he did not remain calm at this time. Kaka, the old monster, was obviously angry. Boy! Exclamation, you really know something you shouldn't know. The most unbearable thing for him is the miserable life now! Exclamation, it is precisely because of this that he hates humans deeply! Exclamation, vow to make them die of despair. Haha, the old monster laughed very horribly. Ashiu and Xiao were far away from here with Pilaf on their backs, but they were still afraid. Tear him to pieces. The old village chief ordered fiercely. As ordered. Behind him, 2 villagers who had turned into monsters suddenly stretched out their sharp claws and tore at Tang En fiercely. Death. Swipe. Tang En took a step away from Bulma, then turned around and dodged easily. Keiki, take Bulma and stay away. Yes, doctor. Keiki agreed. Then, Tang En turned his attention to these 2 monsters. Exclamation, don't worry, I'll try my best to kill you with 1 punch. Tang En thought this way. He didn't want to compete with these people. Oh. The 2 monsters were obviously a little surprised. How did he avoid them? Thighs guy. Where is the person disappearing? It was still there just now. The 2 monsters were stunned for a moment. Suddenly. Drink. Boom! Exclamation. Well. When his mind went blank, the tall monster broke into 2 parts and its body exploded, releasing a layer of blood mist. Precise and violent. What? When is this agate short monster was stunned and a long-lost fear rose in his heart. Boss. The dwarf monster screamed in fear with a hoarse voice. Well, Nanani. The old monster was also stunned for a moment. But Tang En has no interest in talking nonsense to them. At this point, he will never be as good as the Saiyans. Immediately, Tang En moved at high speed and reached the enemy's side. Then he raised his leg and kicked to the side, hitting the dwarf monster on the head. Save! Boom! Exclamation. Before he finished speaking, this guy was going to report to the underworld. Another instant kill! Exclamation. The hook-nosed old monster couldn't help but took 2 steps back. Is this scared? What? Why don't you come and try? Tang En's sharp eyes stared at the remaining hook-nosed demons, making him shiver all over. Now even if you want to go, you can't go. You are God? You are a god. The old village chief turned into a monster and screamed, then fled towards the distant sky with a whoosh! Exclamation. This guy is too strong! Exclamation. It's not like an earth human at all! Exclamation. A sense of fear, an emotion I haven't felt in a long time. Get me down. Tang En instantly moved to the front of the opponent! Exclamation. Regarding what he said, Tang En didn't bother to explain, and just fired an indiscriminate kick! Exclamation. Hold head high. What? Immediately, the opponent's lower half was smashed to pieces. A shrill scream sounded, and the hook-nosed monster immediately fell down and landed next to Pilaf and the others. There was still 1 breath left, but the demon's powerful vitality caused the opponent to lose half of his body and was still struggling. What? The 3 Pilafs had never seen such a battle before. They were immediately frightened by the scene and screamed. They hid behind the rocks and shivered, not daring to show their heads. The scene was really bloody for a while. Keiki. Tang En landed on the ground and gave an order to Keiki. Okay, doctor. Keiki understood instantly. Immediately, Keiki pushed Bulma behind him, and a flamethrower emerged from his arm. Cock-a-boom! The purple gas flame was pushed out by the launcher, burning the upper body of the hook-nosed demon into ashes. End of this chapter. Chapter 60. Dr. Gallo. Chapter 60. Dr. Gallo. Boom! The purple flame was pushed out by Keiki's launcher, burning the upper body of the hook-nosed demon into ashes. It's so scary. The 3 of Pilaf trembled. Now, the 3 of them also know that the news about this treasure must be false. Damn it, that old man is so evil. King Pilaf, almost died here. Pilaf thought anxiously. Ouch. Pilaf grinned. Bulma grabbed Pilaf's ears and lifted him up. Hey, where did the treasure come from? If Tang En hadn't been here, we would have been killed by you. Gyubanasai. Gyubanasai. Pilaf struggled and begged for mercy. At this moment, Tang En turned around twice, feeling the slightest fluctuation in this space. Okay, what a brilliant space sealing technique. Tang En couldn't help but admire it. In fact, he has practiced sealing techniques and demon sealing waves in private. After all, they are such excellent moves, so of course you have to take a look. Comparing the two, both have their own advantages. Now, Tang En originally wanted to see if he could strengthen the sealing technique, but after checking it, I found that this idea was still too naive, and it was not something I could modify if I wanted to. Sealing techniques are time-consuming and labor-intensive, and if you want to strengthen the seal, there is a danger of destroying the seal, which makes Tang En have to give up this idea. After all, no one knows what kind of things will come down when the seal is destroyed. It's no wonder that the third generation of gods didn't pass down this technique, and they just changed it into the demonic sealing wave. Okay, Tang En jumped towards the sky, and then layers of white light gathered in his hands. Aha! After accumulating strength, Tang En threw out a stream of spherical air bombs with a wave of his hand. Exclamation! Wow, wow, wow. The air bombs split into hundreds of different small Kigum channels in the air, and they hit the villages in the distance one after another. Boom! Exclamation! Boom! At this time, Tang En was not comparable to what he had been before. If he didn't hold back, he could sink the island with just one blow. The ground trembled violently for a while, and then the villages in the distance were blown to pieces, and huge potholes remained on the entire island. Earthquake. Zhou Wu murmured. What a scary place. We actually have to encounter something like an earthquake. Kashi was trembling. Tang En glanced at the distance again before slowly landing. Everyone, let's get out of here. Yeah. Pilaf and the other three nodded. I have a better place to go. Let's take it as compensation for our trip. Tang En held Bulma's hands. He felt that it was really stupid to take this risk and meet these people. Bulma didn't have such an idea. After all, isn't it normal to take risks? Everyone returned the same way, but the original village had been turned into ruins, and all the humans inside had turned into various disgusting monsters. Vomit thinking of eating the food they gave them yesterday. Everyone got goosebumps in their hearts. Horrible King Pippilaf. I feel it would be more suitable for us to work part-time. Ash bumped his two index fingers together and said carefully. Pilaf shrugged and said with lack of confidence, Can't you accept such a small test? Ah, little one knows. However, having said that, Pilaf looked very nervous at the moment. Then King Pilaf, do we still want to continue the adventure with them? Zhou Wu asked. Take risks. This one well. I suddenly feel that I can maintain this situation if I have a job. Long life King Pilaf. In this way, the three Pilafs and Dawn and Bulma parted ways and threatened to return to the Magnum group on their own. Tang En didn't care about them. Even if they didn't go back to Magnum group, he wouldn't make things difficult for them. With Keiichi sending them, safety issues are almost guaranteed. Then where are we going next? Bulma asked, holding Tang En's hand. Well, at this moment, Tang En already had the answer in his mind. Do you know Dr. Gallo? Tang En asked. Dr. Gallo. Of course, he is a very talented scientist. I heard my father say that a long time ago, but because he had evil intentions, he later joined the Red Ribbon Army. What happened? Bulma replied. Tang En touched his chin. How about we go meet him? Yeah, why? His artificial human technology is amazing. I really want to see how far he has developed now. That's right, Bulma nodded. Do you know where he is? I don't know, but I know him, so that's fine. Tang En pointed his finger at his forehead and then said to Bulma, As I said just now, this man's artificial intelligence technology has reached its peak. There must be something worth learning. Bulma felt happy. Wow, has my young master Tang also begun to pursue the power of science? Bulma raised Tang En's chin and asked teasingly. Hey, maybe. Tang En hugged Bulma and performed teleportation. There is no other way. Rather than seeking a breakthrough in a hidden place like the underworld of the demon realm, it is definitely better to find some place that you are more familiar with. That must be the last resort. The perpetual motion artificial man technology in front of us is readily available. Although I am somewhat resistant to the so-called artificial man, I might as well go see it for myself. After all, this kind of physique can even compete with Super Saiyan Blue after training in the later stages. The temptation is still very great. To sum up, this may not be a way to become stronger. Anyway, it is definitely necessary to look at it. Teleportation is still very powerful, and the two of them reached Dr. Gallo's cave in the blink of an eye. Hi. Hello. Tang En greeted politely. Wow, I actually came directly to this old man. Who? Doctor. Jiro was startled, and his tired expression suddenly sobered up. Tara, doctor. Gallo took a few steps back, his bloodshot eyes covered by his dirty hair. Balma asked, covering her lips. Are you doctor? Gallo. How did you get here? Balma couldn't help but look at the stone walls around her and asked in confusion. Doctor. Jiro took a few steps back and did not answer, but he had a panicked guess in his heart. Who are they? How did they get here? Is it the country's military? No, it doesn't look like it. For a moment, Doctor. Gallo's tired expression completely sobered up. Slowly, Gallo moved his gaze to Tang En's face. Then, Doctor. Gallo's pupils suddenly tightened. It's him. That guy named Tang En. It's over. How come? I'm so sorry, my new android project is about to start. Doctor. Gallo glanced at a place where there were 2 new experimental subjects he ordered the robot to capture. The data shows that the 2 people should be the most suitable for that kind of material, and they are likely to become the only survivors of the in vivo experiment! It only takes a few more years before you can judge your own conjecture! Damn it! How did they find me? Tang En noticed Dr. Gallo, who panicked after seeing him. Why, he actually knows me. Are those tiny machines already gathering information about themselves? Well, it's not a big deal if you know my information. End of this chapter. Alright legends, that's it for today. If you're ready for the next chapter, smash that like button and flood the comments right now. Remember, we've got 3 days to prove this story needs to continue. Subscribe so you don't miss the drop, and I'll meet you in the next audiobook.